This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, so it is getting recorded. Okay. Yeah. So with regards to data, okay, so we started with general unstructured object storage, right? So that is all around storage account. We discussed what are the different options available within storage accounts, and we discussed on blob storage, file storage, and stuff, right? So we also discussed to some extent on table and queue storage, and then we discussed on database, and also we discussed how to migrate those database. And for a couple of you guys, you have, I mean, I have not discussed this yet. Okay, so possibly if you guys have missed database, the coming week in the weekday session. Okay, so when I say weekdays, there is a parallel batch going on, right? So that uh, during the weekdays, during Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, okay, I cover it between 8 to 10 a.m. IST. Okay, if in case you have missed some topic, you can just join this particular timings. Okay, so that you can attend some of the missed topics. This is a batch which is already ongoing in parallel. Okay, if in case you missed database session, you can attend that during the coming week. Okay, the coming week is planned for database, and today I'm just going to deal again with data, but more into data warehousing and related tool sets. Okay, so when I say related tool set, there are a lot of tools in Azure. Okay, so especially like Azure Data Studio, Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Bricks, okay, and Azure Synapse Analytics. Synapse Analytics is nothing but your Azure Data Warehouse. Okay, it is branded into Synapse Analytics now. Okay, and yeah, there are few more tools, but we don't have to get too much deep into that today. But all these tool sets are focused towards your DP 200 exams. Okay, you might have some questions around this in AZ 303, but very on a very high level architecture level. But DP 200 will have more questions on this, and even I'm planning for a separate course on data engineer. So I'm preparing some lab materials for this. Okay, so once it is ready, I think maybe in March I might have a separate session on data engineer where we'll be discussing all these tool sets every weekend. For example, one tool will be taken on a particular weekend and we'll be discussing in greater details. Okay, but for now you'll get to understand what are these tool sets and how they are related to each other, and we'll get some idea today. Okay, so it's all around data, and it'll be, you can compare this with app services. Okay, so last weekend we discussed on app services, how pipelines work, how we can make changes to the code and bring it to app services or application. Similarly, you can relate it on the data level. So how a data source is coming in and how we are transforming it and how we are putting it into business perspective. So on a very high level, so it's all data session today. I'm just starting, guys. I see people joining in a little late, but still, yeah. So okay, because of maybe Pongal extended weekend, the same might be little less. Okay, so yeah. So on the day, I know like this session was supposed to be getting completed before the Christmas holiday, so we got extended because of the holiday season, holiday vibe. Okay, so yeah. So on the data side, as I said, it's collection of facts, right? It can be numbers, it can be some observations, or it can be some descriptions. And with data, we had three types. And as I said, these things I've covered few weekends back. Okay, so unstructured and structured and semi-structured. Okay, we have the sessions on SQL and Cosmos DB earlier. So SQL is more into structured, and semi-structured is all about Cosmos DB and NoSQL database. Unstructured is your storage, object storage. It can accommodate any kind of files and stuff. Okay, so unstructured is any files. It can be audio, video, binary data, text file, PDF. It is a binary large object. So we generally discussed on blob, and it can be a file storage also. And with this, we primarily discussed around SQL databases, where structure means it has got a schema to start with. So the schema will say that what kind of data it can accept, what kind of tabular format the data can be organized, and it is mostly relating to relational database systems like Microsoft SQL, MySQL, Oracle databases, and so on. And on the semi-structured, it is primarily referring to the modern databases like your NoSQL databases, JSON files, key value databases, graph databases. So those things are contributing to your semi-structure. Okay, so okay, maybe I can just say NoSQL. So I'm just like summarizing it. We already discussed this thing. There is one more category called quasi-structured, but I don't want you guys to get too much confused. So this has got recently emerged as part of the steaming data, like a lot of IoT devices or a lot of machine learning things have emerging, and we have got a new type of data, which is steaming data, and some people call that as quasi-structured. For now, you don't have to get confused with this. So for now, we have been dealing with these three things in the previous classes. We had a separate class on storage. We had a separate class on SQL database. We also discussed on Cosmos DB. Okay, so we discussed all these things. Today, we are going to take all this data and then put it into some kind of data engineer mechanism. Okay, so as I mean, like a lot of activities can be done with data, right? So in general, when I say data activities, okay, so we can collect data, we can store data, we can analyze data. Okay, so we can interpret the data to a readable format, or we can interpret to a business format. Okay, we can change from one format to another format, we can transform it. Okay, so a lot of things can be done with data. I can keep on typing it. Okay, so reporting, taking backup. Okay, and you can play around moving, migrating, copying, syncing. Okay, so a lot of activities can be done, but as a data engineer, there are three categories which they primarily focus on, which is extracting the data, transforming the data, and loading the data for further business visualization, or it can be for one tool to another tool. So we call it as ETL job, right? Okay, we call it as ETL job, and which is extract, transform, and load. Okay, I'm just getting a call from one of the attendees. Let me quickly attend it. Okay, so he thought no session today. Okay, so he's joining in. Okay, guys. So extract, transform, and load. And loading can be from one tool to another tool. When I say one tool to another tool, some can be directly converted using Azure Data Factory. Some might need more conversion or more transformation. So it can be from one tool to another tool, or it can be from one tool to directly visualization tool. Visualization can be done using a lot of format, and as we discussed a couple of days back, Power BI is the mostly used, and a lot of people are using for visualization. And Tableau is another tool which some of the companies have been using for a long time. And some people, you can use Excel or PowerPoint, or if it is a very less amount of data, you can play around with your regular tool sets. But if it is huge amount of data, if it is big data, then you have to go with these tool sets like Azure Data Factory, Databricks, and Analytics, and Power BI. So, okay, so for a smaller set of tool sets or smaller set of data, you don't have to worry about these new technologies and new tool sets. Okay, so let me with data concepts, there are a lot of new things to learn, new things to consume, and we have relational database, we have non-relational database, and today we'll be primarily focusing on big data. Okay, and possibly like we can also touch some areas of analytics, but not too much into it, but we'll be touching on big data also. Okay, big data is huge data, right? And when it comes to data processing or data related applications, we can classify them into two categories, right? So I'm not sure, I'm just summarizing these things. Okay, we already had a touch around all these things, so maybe I'll just quickly compare these things, because we are going to discuss more into data warehouse today. So what is the difference between database and data warehouse from your view on a very high level? Okay, maybe like few points. Okay, because today's session is more into data warehouse rather than database. So database, as I said, it will have a schema. It is classified into structured category, right? And we will be generally using databases for some applications, right? Some OLTP applications, or like business application, which is more into financial area and so on. And databases, it will contain a lot of detailed information, right? So it will not be summarized information. It will have a lot of detailed information, and it's mostly databases application oriented. Okay, for an application, you will create a backend database. So it can be for your infrastructure application, or it can be for your business application. So database is mostly like you create a database for application backend. So it is application oriented, and probably like we can compare it with the data warehouse in parallel, so that you can guys, you can answer it if in case you have a better comparison or quick way of uh, comparing database and data warehouse. Just let me know what is the difference on a very high level. At least like you guys can say no, I don't know, or something like that, so that I get to understand if you guys are following me.
Sir, I don't have information about
Okay.
data.
Okay, fine. So that's fine. If you guys are here, then that's fine. Okay, so we create tables, we create
Yeah,
rows and
Shan,
columns. Yeah, go ahead.
Shan, historical data is data warehouse and database is place to save the data. Am I right?
Very
I'm
nice.
not sure,
That is true.
but this
No,
is
no, that is the true thing. Okay, so database, it generally deal with current data. Okay, so currently processing data, current transactions, or whatever, like you are transferring money, or you are booking a movie ticket, or you are booking a train ticket, or whatever transactions. Like the name itself, like you can see, it's online transaction processing applications. It is current data, current session, current transaction. It is generally tied to single application, correct? It is mostly tied to single application. But yeah, let's move on to the other side. And as you said, this is all about historical data. Okay, so probably we are doing a auditing, or we are doing some kind of business analysis to understand where the business was performing good and where the business was not performing well. So we deal with a lot of historical data, and the data type will be mostly like it can be complex data. When I say complex data, it can be big data. And for example, if you talk about database, you can use it for a particular application on a particular location. But data warehouse, maybe we can just say like it has to process multiple different source formats. Maybe one company might be using an XYZ application for storing their data, and one company might be using Excel sheet, one company might be using SQL databases, other company might be storing it in Cosmos database. And for example, if you want to analyze all these formats and get some business result, then we are getting into a data warehouse concept. Data warehouse, it deals with a lot of complex information, and maybe on a very simple example, whatever, like you want to do a current transaction, or you want to take a monthly report of your transaction, then that comes directly from your database. But when you want to do a historical information, or when you want to retrieve information from last 6 months or last 4 months, or like for a older duration or a longer duration, you can just say like that comes from the data warehouse. So whoever answered it, that is right. So we deal with historical data, and we deal with a lot of complex data. And for example, if you want to understand who bought a particular Sony television, you can answer from the database. Like you can say this model TV has been purchased by these peoples from this particular place. Okay, so that comes from the database. But if you want to understand how many Sony television of a particular model has got sold from the entire country, entire world. So maybe like in order to analyze that, you have to get a lot of data from a lot of different distributors. A lot of different countries might use their own version of uh, documents to store the contents. Okay, so you have to fetch all of them, you have to put it into big data, and then you have to analyze it, and then you get a result. Okay, so these ones, it takes a lot of time, okay, for processing. Okay, so processing huge data means like processing big data will take more time, will consume more time, because it has to intake a lot of information, whereas it's like you are connecting to a single database and you are getting output for this. So here we are dealing with very limited records, and it's like 10 to tens to thousands records or something like it is very less records here. Okay, but when it comes to data warehouse, we are processing millions of records. So you get to um, analyze a lot of information, whereas okay, so here you cannot say like every company or every organization across the globe has to use the same kind of schema or format. So here you cannot do that. So here it is always consolidated data. So data can be from different format, and at the end data warehouse provides you, or it does a summarization of the data. So you get different contents from different companies, and you at the end you summarize it in order to visualize it and get some business insight. Okay, so on a very high level, database, it's mostly used as a backend for a single application, and it's like kind of OLTP stuff, whereas this one is more of OLAP application. It is for analytics and a lot of processing and dealing with historical data. This one takes a lot of time because we have to analyze a lot of data, and data comes from different origin, different formats, and this one is a little complex compared to database. But with database, we are tied to a lot of SLA, right? People have to book tickets quickly, and then they have to do a transaction immediately and those things. Whereas database, it has to be done on the fly. Whereas data warehouse, we need that data, we need the output. So it can take its own time. Okay, so the analytical system can run for 1 day or 2 days, or it can run for a month in order to get the business view, or in order to get the big picture of how the business is performing, or how they are dealing with the current market fluctuations and those things. Okay, so analytics workloads, it's all about business insight and those things, whereas database, it might be like doing a money transfer, or filing a form, or booking a movie ticket, or registering for a new course, or like it can be a single transaction. Okay, so it's all transaction. Database is all around transactions. Maybe let me do one thing. I can just give some quick examples on the other side. Okay, so database is more into OLTP. Data warehouse is more into OLAP applications. So here we are talking about real time and current write and updates, or we can say transactional activities. Okay, and here we are dealing with reporting and patch loading and those things. Okay, and here we are talking about analytics, and here we are talking about long running jobs, and here we are talking about short completing transactions. Okay, and this will be very quick and fast, right? And this one will be running periodically, or it can be like quarterly, or weekly, or monthly, or daily. Like this processing can be in a interval kind of thing. It can be a schedule. Whereas I can just give some examples here: doing a money transfer, or booking a movie ticket, or registering for a course. Okay, so those kind of things. And if you are looking at last 3 years transaction, okay, or if you are looking at who bought, I mean, like how much, let me do one thing. So how many TVs of a particular model sold across the globe. Okay, this question has to, we have to get this answer from multiple different regional sellers, distributors, and a lot of local market people and those things. Whereas when it comes to OLTP, you can just say like in a particular location, in a particular distributor, how many TVs they have sold, or who bought this particular model of TV, or how many people bought that model of TV. We are dealing with very small amount of data here, whereas here it touches different data formats, different amount of data, whereas the OLTP is generally getting normalized. Okay, so for faster processing, data is always normalized in database, whereas here it is mostly denormalized. Okay, so we generally cannot normalize because it is coming from different uh, people and different vendors, whereas like these things are kind of repetitive in nature, whereas these ones are running in ad hoc basis. Okay, so this is on a very high level. Okay, so this is the very basic fundamental for your today's session on data warehouse. Okay, so database, I think most of you guys have worked, but data warehouse is something you will be getting used to today, and we'll capture a lot of raw data, and I'll show you how the data is put into pipeline, and how we can transform it, how we can load into different systems today. So as I said at the beginning of the session, our topics will be more into Azure Data Factory, Data Studio, Databricks, and these tool sets today. Okay, so okay, I could see okay, a couple of more people have joined. Anyways, so any questions so far? You guys are following me on data warehouse and database. I mean, these are like pretty basic things, but still you have to get a
Yes.
kind of understanding, yeah, before moving into data warehouse. Yeah, good. And data lake is a new term that we use. Data lake is even a much better kind of storage, where it can accommodate a lot of data. It can accommodate structured, unstructured, semi-structured, quasi-structured, or whatever format which we think of. You can store it in Azure Data Lake. Azure Data Lake is a term that we use for storing a big data, and most of the data engineers and data scientists, they deal with data lake kind of thing. Okay, I'll show you how to create a data lake and store a huge amount of data to start with. Okay, we'll also see something in parallel. I don't want you guys to get too much bored with a lot of theory. Okay, let's create a data lake first. Okay, data lake, have you seen an option to create a data lake before? Any idea?
No, Ji.
Okay, so it is there actually. It is there within your storage accounts only. Okay, when you create storage account, you have the option called data lake storage version generation 1 and generation 2. Let me show you. Okay, you guys are not focusing on the sub options that you are getting. Okay, so that's the problem. Okay, so just get into each and every options when you create something, and you will get to understand where exactly it is. If you scroll down, okay, what happened? Okay. Okay, let me create a storage account. Let's choose a location. I'll say Azure Data Lake Storage 1. Okay, let me create it in West US. I already have a lot of resources in East US. Okay. So here is where you get that option. Okay, so you get Azure files, large file shares, and you have to enable the Data Lake Storage Gen 2 or Gen 1. Gen 1 is the older version. So data lake storage, it is not a separate new thing. Okay, so it is embedded within your Azure storage account. Okay, so Azure data lake storage. Okay, you have two generations. If you're going with classic version, the older version, you will get Gen 1. And if you're creating the latest version of storage account, you will get option to enable only storage Gen 2. And these comes from the Hadoop file system. Okay, that's why it is called hierarchical namespace. Okay, I'll explain what exactly that is, but for now, like, yeah, so I'm just enabling it. And okay, it says like the current combination of storage account performance does not support. Maybe I'll just change the option here to check. Okay, let me select premium. Okay, now at least did I get, see, the option itself went away. Okay, I thought of enabling large file shares. Some accounts you will get the option to enable large file shares, where you can store a huge volume of data. Okay, let me enable. Okay, now I got it. Okay, good. So I can enable for large file shares. Okay, you can have a huge amount of a big file shares created. Okay, so let me enable this. So for people who answered you have never seen, you have to have a pay closer attention on all the things when you create storage account. Okay, so data lake storage, you have to enable it as part of your storage account creation. Okay, let me create it.
And one question. Yeah. When you said it's a Hadoop file system, is there any specific term is there, or generically it's a Hadoop file system? That's it. Like in
Yeah,
Windows, like
yeah.
the first part is there,
Yeah.
like that.
So yeah, file system. Yeah, that is compare. You can compare it with your NTFS, REFS, and those things. Yeah, Hadoop has its own native file system, which is Hadoop file system (HDFS). So if you look at this one, the Azure Data Lake, as I said, it comes from they're taken some inputs from the Hadoop HDFS file system, and the additional thing that Azure has done is they have integrated it with Active Directory. Okay, now like when you create a file system or an Azure data lake, you get two components within it. One is the storage component. Okay, let me kind of explain it while this gets created. I'll come back to you in a minute here. Okay, so let me show you the difference first. Okay, so let me create one more storage account. Okay, see, if you guys are interested, I'm definitely interested to dig deep here. Okay, so it all depends on your interest level on the data side. Okay, so let me create this and explain the question. Okay, I'll say like Azure storage account 1. Okay, it is available. I'm just going to create as a general storage account without going and choosing that data lake store option. Okay, I'll show you the difference first. Okay, so how you can differentiate whether it is a data lake storage with HDFS file system or whether it is a normal regular Microsoft native file system. When I say Microsoft native file system, they are using REFS, resilient file system. Okay, so that is the current file system in Windows, right? So earlier we used to have NTFS, and prior to that we used to have FAT file system, but now it's all REFS, resilient file system. So when you are enabling by default without choosing data lake, then it goes with REFS. But when you enable data lake, you get that gets changed to HDFS file system. I'll show you. Okay, now let me go to storage account. Okay. My audio is clear, right? So because I had a dental surgery in Monday, okay, on Monday, so there might be small difference in the way I speak because I have got stitches inside my mouth. Okay, but yeah, so you're hearing okay. Sorry.
We don't feel any difference.
Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. So if you look at the first one, Azure Data Lake Storage, you can go and check the containers, okay, and you can see it has all it is referencing to massively scalable file system, something similar to that. I don't recall the exact term how it. Okay, so you can see this, like it says massively scalable data lake storage. Okay, so that is how when you enable data lake storage, you get this option, and when you get inside it, you get the option to create hierarchical file system. And when you go here, okay, in the regular storage account, you will see a different term here. Okay, it will say like you can store a large amount of data, a lot of data, something similar to that. Also, the icon will be very traditional one. Okay, so you can see it says you can go and store a lot of unstructured data. Unstructured data is nothing but your, okay, sorry. So you're seeing the difference here, right? So it says like the icon is different. Okay, so it's a regular icon for object storage, and it says like it's scalable, and you can store a lot of objects here, unstructured data here. When it goes to a data lake storage, the same thing, you can see a different icon, plus it says a data lake storage. So you can differentiate whether it's a data lake storage or it's a regular storage account with the icon and the term that they are using for creating the storage account. So that is how you can differentiate it on a very high level. But let me come back, let me explain on whatever question was raised. Okay, so here we are dealing with a lot of big data. I mean, big data is, I mean, you don't have to think too big about it. Like it's like we are dealing with a lot of huge amount of data or huge volume of data. Okay, so and this one data lake, okay, it's a, you can say it's a PaaS model data lake solution, or a PaaS model big data solution. Whereas when you want to implement your on-premises Hadoop cluster, you have to purchase servers and you have to put together into a cluster, and then you have to enable the file system. And you can come if you have not deployed it, you can compare it with your distributed file system natively coming with Windows, right? You create a couple of servers and then you add it as a link to the root file system, and then you store it into different servers in order to have redundancy. Similarly, data lake store is a kind of HDFS service where you can compare it as a DFS service where you have a lot of durability and you can have a lot of backend redundant storage, and you have a lot of redundancy, and you can have two things into one bucket. Okay, so when I call data lake, it is a combination of data lake store. Okay, data lake store is a common storage location. Okay, so where you store a lot of data, and in top of that you get data lake analytics. Okay, that is the one which makes the difference here. Okay, so we get DLS plus DLA. When you create a storage account, it is just acting as a normal storage. It does not provide you any advanced analytics systems, or it does not come with HDFS file system, and it does not provide you analytics. So here we are adding storage account. On top of that, you are adding analytics to your storage account, and that's when it is labeled as data lake analytics or data lake storage. Okay, so on a very high level, you can assume data lake is a storage with analytics enabled. Okay, it has got some computing power, it has got some processing power, it has got some file system where you can utilize the technology that is coming from Hadoop, native Hadoop. You can integrate with Python tools or Scala tools. So this comes from Hadoop technology. Okay, so maybe you guys might have heard about Apache Spark and HD Insight, R, and those things. So those are all kind of tools and tool chains which work very much with HDFS file system. Okay, so in on-premises environment, we have been using Hadoop technologies. It can be your Apache Spark, or it can be your R tool, or it can be regular Hadoop. Okay, this is the equivalent in cloud, Azure cloud. Okay, in on-premises, I can just say Apache Spark is the mostly used tool, and maybe some people are using Storm, some people are using HBase. So these are all kind of HDFS file systems, which is mainly for dealing large amount of big data. In cloud, we have a replacement, which is Azure Data Lake, where we get a location to store. By default, Azure object storage is unlimited, right? So when I say unlimited, virtually unlimited, you can keep on storing data. You can even scale up to petabytes of contents. And the additional thing that gets enabled is the analytics engine. The analytics engines plus the file system from Hadoop technology. So HDFS file system plus analytics is what is getting added into your storage account, and we call it as data lake. Okay, and this is a PaaS solution. You don't have to worry about the backend servers, the backend storage. So all these things are coming as a service for you. Even the file system creation is done by Microsoft, so you don't have to worry about the infrastructure. You don't have to worry about the file system creation. You just keep on storing. You can go and store data, and you can put it into analysis, and I'll show you how you can transform things, how you can use this massively scalable or massively queryable tool. Okay, so you can just say like this can handle huge volume, high throughput. It can store a lot of data, and you get analytics on top of your storage on a very high level. Simple. Okay, so when someone asks you what exactly is Azure Data Lake, you can say it is a cloud-based big data storage with analytics enabled. Okay, and if they ask about the file system, because like the analytics cannot work with your regular file system. It can work to some extent, but you take the technology from Hadoop, which was a proven solution, proven file system for dealing with big data, and we are using that technology here. And even you can use some other technology also, but again here they predominantly use HD Insight and Hadoop file system for the native Azure Data Lake service. Okay, so you get this one as a service, and I'll show you how you can utilize it. And this is on a very high level. Okay, so maybe like, did I answer your question, or you have some more queries on that? Okay, so when I say
Yeah,
huge
it's
volume,
fine. It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
That is
right, yeah. Yeah, so when I say huge volume of data, okay, so it can be huge streaming data, or it can be huge, I mean, big size files coming in. For example, let me give some examples here, okay, so that you get to understand what I'm referencing as huge volume of data. For example, if you take Walmart, they are getting in, I think some people are supporting Walmart from this group. Okay, so they get 4 petabytes of data every hour. Okay, so that level of data is coming in from the Walmart industry. And if you take Facebook, maybe like like more than 50 million messages per minute. And if you take about think about again Facebook, there are 4 million videos getting shared in a particular minute. And if you talk about YouTube, you can just think about like 800 hours of new video are coming in every minute. Okay, so even like during this COVID, this has drastically got increased. The YouTube and other social networking sites, a lot of people are putting in a lot of data, a lot of recordings, a lot of new dances and videos are coming in. So I'm referring to those kind of data. Okay, a lot of social networking and online marketing giants, like they deal with a lot of data. And it can be their direct business data, and sometimes it might be from their business backend, right? Some point of sale location, some IoT sensors, some servers might be sending the logs, some network devices might be sending the logs. Okay, so there are a lot of data which are getting generated, and you can just subdivide them into two major categories. One is machine generated, and the other one is human generated. When I say machine generated, I'm referencing to the IoT sensors in the fridges and in the cameras and the point of sale devices. And so some servers are generating some logs, some network devices are sending some logs, they are capturing some data. So some application, tally application or some financial application is sending some data. These are all machine generated. When I say human generated, a lot of people are creating their own recording, and then they're uploading it, and they are creating their they're capturing their images, sending those files and those things. So a lot of different sources are there, and on a very high level, um, they equally contribute these days. Okay, previously, like we generally deal with machine generated data, where we deal with log files, application data, point of sale data, sensor, IoT sensor data, and so on. Whereas now, based on the current trend, a lot of people are utilizing the social apps, and you can see there are a lot of human generated data, where a lot of images and pictures and videos are getting shared drastically now. And there are a lot of different roles who deal with these things. If you go back and look at my first recording on data, I have compared a couple of things there. What a database engineer does and what a data engineer does, right? So they deal with different things and different data. And there are few more people like data analyst and data scientist, and too many roles are there, right, in the market now. Even now, like AI engineers are very emerging. So there are a lot of, I mean, roles and responsibility difference between these roles. But like what a database engineer does on a very high level, I'll just summarize this thing. I've already compared this thing in my very first session on data. And the database engineer, they deal with relational database systems, right? Microsoft SQL, Oracle, and those databases. They install the database server, they upgrade the server, they patch it, they maintain the security of the database. What they do, they allocate the storage requirement for the database, they modify the schema, they modify the structure, they create backup, they do normalization, they do the permission handling. Okay, they work with clusters, they monitor the performance, they do log shipping. Okay, those are the roles that a database engineer does. So they deal with the relational database management system. So whatever you guys are doing with the servers, they do it on the database level. So whatever patching or monitoring or backup or moving the data or having a best practices implemented, log shipping, security best practices, creating permissions, creating users, and those things, right? So they deal with databases on a very high level. And when it comes to data engineer, they deal with different type of data. They don't restrict themselves to database alone. They deal with unstructured data, they deal with batch processing data, they deal with human generated data, they deal with streaming data, they deal with a lot of incoming data from different sources, and it can be even a database also. Okay, so it need not be database alone. The data engineers deal with different all four types of data types. Okay, unstructured, structured, semi-structured, and quasi-structured. So what they do is they kind of take the data, and then they do the transformation, and then they load it for further analysis. And when it comes to further analysis, or when they are not able to deal with a huge amount of data, and they want a lot of business minded people, or people with experience into business processes and those things, that will go into data analysts and data scientists. Okay, data analyst and data scientists, they more deal with the patterns on the business side. Okay, they help a business pattern, they get into a sales pattern, and then they look into how they are doing in the market, how they can improve the market, or how they can transform their business. And these people deal with a lot of dashboards, reporting, graphical data, views, histograms, bar charts, and a lot of complex data. And they closely work with the business aspect of it. Whereas these two people deal with the application, they deal very closely with the applications end. Okay, this one is purely application. Database engineer, they maintain the database for a particular application backend. But this one, they deal with multiple different data, and then they normalize it into a particular format where the data analyst and data scientist can use it for transforming for their business improvement or business insight. Okay, so both these roles are quite similar, but these people do the same on different type of data, but they just do it on database alone. Okay, so here these guys even work with data pipelines, data stores. Whatever we are going to discuss today is more into data engineer role. Okay, I'll clearly uh, differentiate these things so that you get to understand what they do today. Okay, so today, like, we'll be discussing on data engineer roles, where they will be dealing with extracting, transforming, and loading the data from different type of source of data into a different tool or a different visualization engine. Okay, so this is what we are going to deal today. We are going to discuss on data engineer role today. And you guys, I know, like, most of you have worked with database engineers, or some of you are doing the database engineer role, so you know what you guys do. But yeah, so we are going to deal with data engineer, and if you want to get into these things, there are certain advanced certifications. And beginning of the class, as I said, I'm planning for a 35-hour session on data engineer alone, where we'll be discussing just the tools around data alone. So it has a lot of insights, a lot of tools are available. You can get to explore them at a later time. I'm planning for that batch somewhere in the end of March, where I'm just planning only for the data engineer track alone. Okay, but for now, today we'll be discussing on the tools which data engineer deals with on a regular basis. Any questions, team? I know, like, I'll be running fast in some areas. The reason is, like, we have discussed those things on a very high level earlier. And I mean, if there is some question, I can just go a little deep. Okay, as a database engineer, they deal with different tool sets, right? For example, your SQL Server Management Studio, or SQL Profiler, or your Transact SQL, or your MySQL Workbench. Okay, they use those regular routine tool sets to deal with the relational database management system. Whereas the data engineer, they deal with different set of tools like Databricks, HD Insight, Python, or HiveSQL, or Data Lake. Okay, they deal with different tool sets, and they use different tool sets for querying and manipulating the data. When I say querying and manipulating, like, mostly, like, Python is the mostly used these days. Many people are using Python. Some companies have been using R. Some people have been using HiveSQL. So these are all some mostly used tool for querying and manipulating the contents. But for now, we will not be worrying about these things. Instead, we'll be discussing on these tool sets today, okay, which are all used for extracting, transforming, and load. As a data engineer, these alone might not be sufficient. you might need to learn some querying language also, like a Hive querying language or Python querying language or R querying language. So these querying language will help you to quickly query and fetch the data or manipulate the data in a faster method. Okay, so for that purpose, you might need to learn some more querying language. Even you can learn just the Python. Python can act as a programming language, scripting language, querying language. So that's the reason many people are suggesting a lot of freshers and new people to learn Python as a mandate. Okay, so this one is it takes different forms in different role, right? So I'm not going to dig deep into these areas. Instead, I'll be helping you guys to understand how Azure Data Lake works, how Azure Data Studio works, how Azure Data Brick works, and those things today. Okay. Any questions, guys? Just let me create some more stuff now, so that we'll see. If there is some question, I can explain. Okay, I can help you with more insight. Okay.
Yes, dude.
So
Just one
yeah, go ahead.
clarification.
Yes.
So you said the definition for data lake is like a cloud-based big data storage with analytics, right? So that
That's right.
analytics part will not come in the on-prem. Like you have put examples like
Yeah.
Apache Spark and Storm and
Correct.
HBase.
Right. So yeah, that is the thing. Very good. So you have a file server. Okay, that is like equivalent to storage account. Okay, they both are same. Okay, so we use a native file system from the operating system for storing data and providing access to the end users. Like it can be a Windows server with your CAFS or NTFS providing access through SMB. Whereas when it comes to a Linux server, it can be an NFS storage providing access through a NFS protocol. When it comes to storage account, you have different options. You have HTTP based, you have NFS based. You can just compare that as equivalent. When it comes to on-premises, we might need to install like Apache Spark or Hadoop inside, HD inside, or whatever tool sets like a Storm or HBase to have analytics engine in order to work with your file server or different. I mean, this one might not deal with your file server alone. Okay, it can deal with your database servers, it can deal with your application servers, it can deal with your file servers, and the analytics engine primarily comes from these clusters. Okay, and here in Azure, the Azure Data Lake Storage, it's a PaaS model service, right? So the analytics engine plus the file server or the source data comes from the storage account. Okay, storage account plus PaaS model analytics engine is what called as data lake. Whatever you defined is correct. Okay, it's a PaaS big data solution with analytics, right? That is the correct definition. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. So when it comes to data, okay, so we are talking about incoming data, outgoing data, processing data, and those things, right? So data takes different format. Like let me just go here. Okay, how I can explain it. Okay, we can just say data. Okay, so for you, Subbu, like what we are going to do now is we are converting or conversion of raw data. Okay, so raw data into meaningful data through a particular process. Okay, so this process can be through the analytics engine, or it can be using Azure Databricks, or it can be using Azure Data Factory. And we are just kind of taking different format of data. It can be a normal regular text file, or it can be a log file, or it can be a video or audio or whatever file format. Okay, we are taking that raw data and then we are using tool sets today, like what data engineer does, and we are converting it into a meaningful format so that we can fit it into the business people, or the business people will get an insight on how they can improve their business. At the end, we are doing all these things to help a business excel in their platform. Okay, so I will get into the data processing, and when we talk about data ingestion, okay, we get data from different format. We might get it from a database, we might get it in a files, or it can be any objects, okay, text file or Excel file or whatever file it can be. Even it can be from a NoSQL DB also. or it can be from steaming data also. As I said, it is quasi structured. Okay, it can be a steaming data. Steaming data is nothing but your IoT devices. You are getting alerts from some IoT devices, like the air conditioner is running with different temperature, or there is a fire alarm. Okay, all those things are kind of steaming data. Okay, so here with big data, your data scope is large. You are not just dealing with a small database for a particular backend application. You are dealing with business level of data scope. The data size is very huge. Data scope is very heavy. We are dealing with multiple data sets, and the time we will take a lot of difference. Okay, so let me just see if I can help with some use cases, or okay, I don't know if I can. Okay, let me try to explain it. Let me put it into this way. Okay, we get different variety of data. When I say variety of data, it can be okay. I already summarized this, right? So database, or it can be files, or it can be NoSQL database, and those things. And we are dealing with huge volume of data. Okay, so huge variety plus huge volume and huge velocity. We are getting a huge in stream, like a lot of people across the globe are uploading data to YouTube. A lot of people are purchasing from home through online application during the current COVID situation. So a lot of things are happening in a different velocity now. So things on the online financial applications, or online gaming applications, now the velocity has increased a lot, and we are dealing with huge variety, huge volume, and huge velocity. These are the three different categories. And when I talk about velocity, it can be of three categories. Okay, it can be a steaming data, or it can be a batch data. For example, batch is something we run it in a recurrence or a particular schedule, right? So real time is we are booking tickets, we are transferring money from one account to another account. So those are all real time categories. Okay, these are all very closely related, but when it runs in a particular schedule, or when it runs in a particular interval, we call it as a batch job. Maybe for example, you can say payroll processing. Okay, so payroll processing, you just get to understand how much days people are working, or how much time the contractors are working, and you are processing the payroll for them at the month end, or maybe like weekend, or on a daily basis, or something like that, right? So those are all batch processing examples, payroll processing, because in some countries they provide on a daily basis, or a weekly basis, or some countries provide on a monthly basis. So payroll is a good example of batch processing. Real time is currently happening with this very live. Okay, so we are sending money from one account to another account, or we are booking a movie ticket, or we are reserving a train ticket. So those are all real time stuff. Okay, so these are the three different velocities we have. And when we are dealing with huge variety of data, Azure Data Factory solution should be enough. Okay, and when you are dealing with a huge variety and huge volume, you need Azure Data Lake. Okay, this is where you need analytics engine for dealing with huge variety and huge volume. And when you are talking about huge variety, huge volume, and huge velocity, you might need Synapse Analytics. Okay, so Synapse Analytics is nothing, is a tool which is a combination of data warehouse plus storage plus data lake, all these things combined. And now Microsoft has got a single name called Azure Synapse Analytics, and it also contains your data warehouse also. But initially they rebranded Azure Data Warehouse into Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, and now they have given us a one-stop solution where you don't have to have too many stop gaps, or too many contributors, or too many things are not. I mean, they are not separate components. Now they have combined different data tool sets into one bucket, which is termed as Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, this can deal with huge variety, huge volume, huge velocity. Okay, so you get to understand these differences, right? Streaming, batch, and real time data. Any questions here? Okay, volume is something very simple, right? We are dealing with medium size, huge size, and big size. Like it's like huge variety of data, and when huge volume of data. Variety is different type of structures. And okay, data engineer job is to deal with this data. They have to extract these data, and then they have to transform it and load it to different tool sets. Okay, so they are managing huge inflow, huge raw data volume. Okay, so is it clear now, Subbu? Like, so I'm trying to add more points to get you more visibility. Okay, so
Yes,
let's.
Jay, so, yes,
Yeah,
so here is where all the E, T, and L will take place here. Right? The
correct.
extraction is like conversion of raw data,
I'll show you that.
and
I'll show you in a practical way. So I'll show you
okay,
how Azure Data Factory works. Let's start with Azure Data Factory, which is very much closer to your question, where we deal with data ingestion, which is extraction on the other side, and we deal with data transformation, and we can also move it for further loading. Okay, so all these things, extraction, transformation, and loading, happens mostly at Azure Data Factory level. Okay, I'll show you one quick demo so that you will get to understand that. Okay, so let me create a data factory. Okay, data factory. Okay, okay. So on a very high level team, we are going to extract data from one particular source. The source can be your storage account, or it can be your applications like Concur or ServiceNow or whatever tool sets, and it can be your databases, or it can be your file system, or it can be a FTP or a SFTP location, or it can be a HTTP location. Okay, it can be a storage from third party or other cloud like AWS S3 or whatever it is. We are going to fetch data from a particular source. We are going to transform it and then load it into a different system. Okay, so Azure Data Factory, it is again a cloud-based data integration service, where if you ask me where these technologies, like whether that existed earlier, yes, these all things existed earlier. Okay, so I think for example, I can just quickly compare with a particular format. Like in your on-premises MS SQL, Microsoft SQL, you had something called SSIS. I'm not sure how many of you have worked on that. So that is again integration service, where it fetches data from the database and then it loads into a different tool set. Okay, again this is for integration with multiple different applications. Similarly, your Azure Data Factory, it has integrations with too many different tool sets, thousands of tool sets, in fact, thousands of application, and it connects with different source of data, and it analyzes the data, and then it transforms into a particular format where the business can make use of it. Okay, so on a very high level, Azure Data Factory, okay, what it is going to do is it is going to store the data first. Anyways, all different tool sets will have I know my audio got lost. Okay, so I got the network reconnected. Okay, so I was just trying to explain about the Azure Data Factory. Data Factory is again a solution where you can do a lot of other things rather than just storing and analyzing. You can also do transformation on top of your storage and analysis. Okay, so Azure Data Lake Storage, it can do storage plus analytics. This one, Data Factory, it can transform and publish for further analysis. Okay, it has more role or more scope here. Okay, you can just label us. You guys are hearing me okay, right? Yeah, one of you confirm please.
yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes,
Azure
sir.
Cloud.
It's audible.
Yeah, it is Azure cloud based integration service, where all these things are data driven, right? We are dealing with data technologies. So this technology will help you to store. You can also analyze. You can also transform and publish it. I'll show you an example how Azure Data Factory can transform your data into a different format, or how it can move data from one format to another format. Okay, I'll show you a quick example so that you get a practical view of it. I'll create a Azure Data Factory. Okay, so if in case you guys are familiar with GitHub and those things, like last week we were talking about GitHub and those things, right? More of an application side, but even for data also, you can Azure Data Factory 1. You can also use uh, this Git tools, where you can connect to Azure DevOps tools or GitHub tools to fetch some files from that particular project, and you can transform it. But for now, I'm not going to use the Git connection. So like last week, we connected to Git repository, and then we transformed, like we used that code to publish a website. But now, like, I'm not going to integrate it with Git configuration. Like this can be, mostly like Git is used in application and infrastructure pipeline deployment and DevOps model. Even in data also, you can use it actually. Okay, it is not that Git is only restricted to application and infrastructure. Even it can be used in data, which is again a subcomponent of infrastructure, right? So yeah, even for data pipelines, data ingestion, data transformation, you can use Git tools. But I'll show you a regular classic example, and then maybe if in case you want to use Git, you can do it. By default, you can also encrypt by data. By default, like the storage account is encrypted, but if you want to use your own customer managed keys, you can also encrypt your data. Okay. So the creation is straightforward, but the activity that we do, it is like kind of a little different. I'll show you. Maybe I'm just missing something here. Oh, it's the name is not available. I'll say Azure or like Stan Data Factory 1. That is also not available. Data Factory 1. Okay, good. So these are all online PaaS model services, right? So the name has to be unique. So on top of storage analytics, this one also has got transformation and publishing capabilities. Okay, I'm going to show you publishing and transformations demo now. Okay, where you can get to understand on a very high level. Okay, so if someone is interested in data engineer, like go through the recording again. You have to go through all three recordings: storage account session, database session, and today's data warehouse session. Okay, so all these things are very important basics for your data engineer track. And yeah, it has got created. So once it is created, okay, you will not have a lot of different options here, because it is a separate service where they are providing it through Azure platform. Okay, so if you look at here, it does not provide you a lot of options. But if you look at the right, this is the option where you can open the Azure Data Factory. It is a separate portal. Okay, if you select this, it will open Azure Data Factory, adf.azure.com. Okay, it's a separate PaaS model service. It will open Azure Data Factory. Okay, you can also directly type adf.azure.com. Okay, if in case you already have some data factories created. Okay, and definitely it has its own let's see what it says, fail to retrieve the data factory. Okay, let me wait. Not sure if my account has, okay, it's working. Okay, it is asking me whether I want to integrate with my Azure Active Directory. Okay, it will take some time at the beginning. Okay, generally only data engineers will be granted access. Okay, now I'm logged in now. Okay, so this is a separate portal. Okay, adf.azure.com. So as I said, many technologies or many tools Microsoft have reused or they have used in a different format to provide platform as a service. Okay, so you don't have to create the cluster or you don't have to worry about backend infrastructure. So you get an interface where you can play around analyzing the data, transforming the data, and so on. So similar to your maybe I'm not sure how many people have got exposure towards application deployment and those things. They also deal with pipelines there. They use tools like Jenkins, where they create the code and then they push it through their pipeline and then they deploy it in the server or wherever they want to deploy the application. Okay. Similarly, you can send the data into this pipeline to transform it to a different format. Maybe let's go and see the options first. Okay, let's explore what are the different options. As I said, you have the option to integrate with your JIT configuration. You can connect it with your on-premises GitHub or online version of GitHub, and you can work with the application-related data also. But as I said, you can create a lot of linking to a lot of services. Maybe if your company is using Concur for travel booking or Workday for regular HR, and it can work with different services and application. Okay, it can connect with Concur, it can connect with ServiceNow, it can connect with your Dynamics. Okay, so GitHub, Office 365. This tool can connect with different source of data. You can select which source of data you want to link here in order to get the data. So this particular tool is going to get data ingestion from these many different options available. Okay, and let me show you a quick example. Possibly, like, you can use it with any file format. Okay, you can have data in Amazon S3 or FTP server or HTTP server or Google GCS, or even you can have some data on your local file system also, local C drive, D drive on your machine from where you're working on. Maybe I'll okay, so this one I'm just directly connected from my office laptop. Possibly I have to enter my office credential if I want to use the file system. Maybe I'll just do one thing. Let me upload some files into a storage account. Okay. Okay, let me put some files in the general storage account. Let me put something into the data lake storage also. Okay, let me create some folders and files here quickly. Okay, let me go to containers, create a folder. I'll say stand folder 1. And if you are going through Azure Active Directory and permissions, then you can give the permissions and play around with that. But now I'm just giving access to the tool directly. Okay, let me upload some sample files. Okay, I'm not sure. I've cleaned up a lot of folders. Let me check in desktop. We have some sample files. I'll also look into the data. Show data. Okay. There's some files here. Okay, let me select some formats here. There are a lot of files here. Okay, let me upload these things. Okay, I don't want to upload this one. Okay, I'm just uploading some CSV and TSV files. Let's assume that these are all some customer data. Okay, I'll just show you what is there inside it. Maybe it will have some sample format. Okay, it will have some customer listing. Let me check. Okay, I don't want you guys to confuse with JIT repository and those things, because if you guys have worked on that, then I can easily explain it through the JIT. Okay, otherwise it will confuse you a lot. So I'll just say this is the customer data. Okay, I've just got some data from a particular customer or a particular online portal where I have the list of customer ID and name. Okay, this is a simple file. And possibly let's see what is there in that JSON also. Let's deal with different file formats. Okay, if we are dealing with CSV and those things, it will be very traditional. Okay. Okay, so this has got some contents. Maybe let me add more contents here. Let me put 3, 4. Let me say Vishwa. Okay. So this is the JSON format, right? I'm having key value pair. Okay, so this is key and this is the value, right? Key is nothing but ID and value is 1, 2, 3 is the number. And similarly, I'm just putting some key value pair. This is JSON format. And I'll put something here. I'll just say, okay. Let me see. I'll say Karthik. Okay, I've got some data here. Okay, I'll say Bangalore or something, Mumbai or something. Yeah. Okay, guys. So did I miss anything? Okay, I'm just missing comma here. Do I need a comma? Okay, I don't think it is the last line, right? I don't think so. Okay, let me save it. Okay. Okay, I'll check that. Okay, maybe I need a comma there also. Okay, so let me upload that file also so that we can play around with that also. I've got table separated value, comma separated value, and I'm also uploading some JSON file. You can also upload some text file also if you want to. So we are dealing with data. Okay, so guys, don't assume too much of complexity into your understanding. Just we are dealing with a lot of data. Okay, so the data can be on different file formats. I'm just uploading some JSON files, CSV files. You can upload some database also. I'll also create some database, Azure database also. Okay, maybe that will help you with understanding these things in a much better way. Okay, so similarly, I'll go and create something in Azure Data Lake Storage. Okay, I'll go to the containers. I'll create container. I'll say stand folder 2. This one is Data Lake, right? Data Lake folder 2 or folder 1 is fine. Okay, I'll create it. You can see that you have a separate section as Data Lake Storage. But instead of containers, you have this Data Lake Storage. I'll upload maybe few files, maybe same set of files I'll upload. Okay. Maybe I'll use different files for different demo. These are all very easy when you practice. Okay, when you are just looking at it in a theoretical way, it'll be like a little tough to understand. But yeah, if you are doing some practical, you'll easily get it. Okay. Okay. So all these things got uploaded, CSV, JSON, and those things. Okay. Let me also create a database. Okay, so we'll get to understand all different possibilities. Okay, we'll go and create a SQL database. Okay, this is also one type of data, right? This is structured data, and the JSON is kind of semi-structured, and CSV we can just say like it's a object storage. Okay, so I'll just create something here. Stand DB server 1. And this is database, db1. I'll create a new server only. I don't have anything here. Okay, stand db server 1. I'll just give some name here. Stand. Okay. I already have a lot of resources in East US. Probably I'll try West US. Okay, good. Okay, let me just create this. Okay, let's check networking. Okay, I'll need public access. Okay, so I'm just adding my current IP so that I can access the database from my, maybe I need to add more servers. Maybe let me add it later. If you want to have some data already available, you can add some sample data also into your database. Okay, so let me create it. So I've got some Excel files. I've got some JSON files. I've got a database now. I'm just going to play around with this data and show you how the tool will help you to work on these tool sets. Okay, so far we have created a storage account and put some files or objects inside it. Excel files, some JSON files, and so on. Okay, I've created a data lake storage. It is nothing but enabling data lake on storage account. I've done that and I've uploaded objects again. So I've created a data factory and I'm going to show you how we can transform and play around with the ETL jobs. ETL jobs are nothing but your pipelines. Okay, I'll show you that now. Okay, let me choose some source here. Maybe, okay, I don't want to link now. Let me cancel it. I'll create a show and I'll show you some pipeline option now. So that will be easy for you. Maybe you can go and create a pipeline and you will get to understand the complete flow. Okay, this is the high level flow. Okay, so I'll just capture it here for reference. Okay, first we need to create a pipeline. So this is what the application team also do in the DevOps model or the SRE model. Okay, so we are going to create a data flow. We are dealing with data. Those people will be dealing with application infrastructure code and so on. Okay, so we can also create it from template will make things very easy, but don't do that at the very beginning and you will lose interest if you are doing with template is all ready-made stuff. You can directly play around with that. So this is very easy option. I'll show you the tough option first and then you'll get to understand it. Even you can configure with SSIS. Okay, SSIS is similar to your data factory. This is on premises, right? So SQL Server integration services. You can integrate with different on-premises tool sets. Like you can integrate with different application, different data source, and you can use it with your SQL Server, on-premises Microsoft SQL Server. But you can also configure your SSIS if you want to do it. But I don't have an on-premises server. You can also integrate with your GitHub or Git repository. Okay, you can configure Git repository also if needed. But I'm not going to do these two steps here. But I'm just going to show you how to create a pipeline, how to play around with data flow, how to maybe copy data also maybe. Okay, so in order to copy, I should have okay, instead of creating a repository, I should have just left one of them as an empty one. Okay, so let me create some folder here. And create some folder here, stand folder 2. This is for receiving some data. Okay, okay, so let me play around now. Let me go to author mode. Okay, you can just create the three things. Okay, you can create what is the pipeline you want to create and what is the source data set and destination data set. And if you want to configure the data flow, you can configure the data flow. I'll explain these things. These are the three important things for a data engineer. Okay, for a Azure DevOps, sorry, for a general DevOps engineer, they also deal with the same thing, but they deal with infrastructure code, application code on the data set. On the Jenkins side, I mean, on the pipeline side, they use Jenkins or similar tools. And for data flow, it can be different tool sets. Maybe it can be Ansible or whatever flow for the flow they use. Here, I'll show you how to create a pipeline first. You can also use template, but don't go with template. Okay, that will confuse you a lot. Okay, I mean that will simplify the things a lot. You can see that these many options are here. Okay, so moving the data or using Azure Data Explorer, you can work with function apps and different things. Maybe let me do one thing. I'll show you a simple example, and then let's go with a high level one. Okay, let me let's copy data from one location to another location. Let's try the basic thing. Okay, this is the pipeline. Okay, so I'm just going to select a particular source, and you can do it as a one-time job, or you can do it as a scheduled job. And as we saw, like it can have data from 90 different sources, data sources. When I say 90 different data sources, it can be your Workday, it can be your Concur portal, it can be your Amazon S3 bucket, or it can be your Google Cloud Storage, whatever, like which we saw on the list. Those are the data sources. You can integrate, you can create a linked service with those tools, and you can create a pipeline job to move the data from one particular source to another destination. Okay, I'll just say maybe from Azure Data Lake to storage account. Okay, you can have a run once or schedule or tumbling window. Maybe I'm not sure if you guys have heard about these terms. So run once is single occurrence, right? So you want to do it as a one-time job. Okay, so if it is a one-time job, then definitely we don't have to come to Azure Data Factory and those things, because the reason I say, like, you can use your RoboCopy, or you can use your Azure Copy, or you can use your Azure Data Studio. So these tools can be used for one-time activity, right? So these are all, again, you can move data or copy data from one location to another location. You can use Azure portal for moving the data. For one-time job, these tool sets might not be required, right? So only when you want to deal with data on a recurrent format, or when you want to play around again and again, then you go with the pipelines, right? So pipelines can deal with scheduled data. Schedule can be on a daily basis or a monthly basis, or something like you are putting it in a recurrence window, or you are doing a job again and again on a particular frequency. Okay, that is scheduled. And tumbling window is something uh, like it is used in even application DevOps also, where the job should not overlap. In scheduling, for example, one day might have a lot of data, and the next day it might have small data. So sometime the schedules might overlap in scheduled window. The first job might not get completed. The second day job or the next hourly job might get started. So that you can have a overlap here. But in tumbling window, you cannot have an overlap. It's non-overlapping. It's maybe, like, you can say it's a fixed sized window, or something. You can say this job should not run beyond this time interval, and so on. Okay, so that is what is called tumbling window. Tumbling is non-overlapping. You cannot have two jobs running, or you should wait until the previous job gets completed. Maybe these are the most frequently used. Even in some cases, people are starting to use event based trigger. Okay, you can do a manual trigger, like run once is something equal to manual trigger, where you are triggering a job to copy data from one application to another application, or one data source to another data source. Even you can say, like, when there is a new event happening, or a new file coming to an Amazon S3 bucket, or a particular application is creating a new database entry, this job can also get triggered. Okay, it can be a scheduled one on a daily basis, or a weekly basis, hourly or monthly, or whatever it is. It can be a tumbling window. This one is not there in the list, but you also have the option to have a event based trigger. Based on a particular event, the job can start. Okay, so that is what it is. Okay, for now I'm just going to show you run once. So these are the differences. You got the point, right? Any questions? Okay, these are all very important for the data engineer role. Okay, guys, ask questions if in case you are not following me. Okay, I'll show you some first file to file, then we'll see an example for database. Okay, let's deal with Azure to Azure first. Even if someone has something on Amazon S3 bucket, I can show you that also. Okay, I'll show you from storage account to data lake. What is the name we gave from data lake, right? So from data lake. Okay, we created Azure Data Lake Gen 2. So if you have created Gen 1, choose this. I'll select, I've created this one. I'll choose Gen 2. I'll just continue. So I'm just adding link to source. What is the source data? Okay. So for this, if it is another account, you have to add the account key from that particular storage account. Here I can choose my own subscription. and I can choose which is the source, data lake storage. And you can have a linked source, or you can select a particular file path. Okay, let me check. I'll go for a file path first. Okay, I can choose the directory. Okay, am I not getting the... Okay, so I'll just try this first. I'll just link it and then create it. You can also select the file system name, like whatever name I gave, right? Whatever Azure DLS1 or the folder name. You can give that particular path also, the location and directory also. Okay, so let me try that in case. Okay, so let me copy this. Okay, this one is Azure TLS1. You can either do linked service, or you can just go the file path. If there are multiple folders, go for file path. If there's only one folder, then you can use a linked service. Okay, that should be sufficient actually. So let me create it. Okay, I should have tested the connection. So always test the connection before creating it, because if there is some error, then you can get to know before the job getting error. Okay. Okay, I think this one should be fine for now. I have just added a source, and within this, I can just create a data set. What is the data you want to move? Okay, you can just go to the folder. It will list you the stand folder one, under which you can also go one line deeper and then choose which one you want to migrate. Possibly, I can say that I want to migrate these files, maybe the USQL files or the PostSQL. Okay, I just want to go with this post.tsv file. Okay, and if it is a binary file like text file or something, you can choose this, but I can just leave it for now. You can have up to 200 maximum concurrent connections. Okay, it can have 200 pipelines actively working at the same time. You can also say that the files created from this morning to this evening, or from Monday to Friday or something, like you can just, based on the timestamp also, you can copy the contents. There are multiple options. Okay, so just I mean, spend some time, guys. Okay, so these are all like very easy things to learn. Only thing you have to, it will fetch the type of the file. It has understood that it is a text kind of file. It is reading the file contents. Okay, it will automatically say like what is the content inside that. So it has got some files here, contents here. Okay, this is a post. Okay, so it is a online blog where someone have put together some questions and answers. Maybe let me try to move this one. Okay, and it is asking which destination you want to move. Okay, I'll just give a different destination instead of data lake storage. I'll create one more connection. You can connect it from application to application also. I'll show you one more example from database to data lake, something like that now in a minute. Let's complete this first. We'll see a basic example. Okay, let's try Azure Blob Storage. Okay. Okay, let me give, okay, let me select this. Okay, I'll select the storage account one. Okay, if you want to give some specific location, you can give that specific path, or else you can just give create. Generally give the name of the same storage account on the linked service also. Here I'm just taking the default name. Okay, so you can also change it anytime, but I'm just giving the default name here, Azure Blob Storage 1. And within this, I can say like which folder path this has to get copied over. I'll say stand folder 2, which is the empty folder. Okay, and it is asking whether I want to copy a particular file formats, or you want to copy everything, and you can also have option to merge also. If you want to merge, or if you want to flatten the hierarchy, or if you want to use the same format as the source, you can change the behavior also. You can also limit by a size. I'm not going to limit these things. There are some more options you can play around. Okay, let's try the basic option now. And okay, so as of now, if you want to accept only comma separated value, or if you want to accept some specific file formats, you can change it. But for now, let's try that. Okay, if it is working or not. Okay, I can also verify whether the file has got some issues with consistency and those things. For now, I'm just skipping this for now, and let's try this. Okay. Okay, it is running. Okay, let me finish, or you can also monitor it. Okay, you can check whether the activity is getting completed or whatever it is. Okay, let's go and check the activity. So Azure Data Lake to storage account. In the next example, I'll show you copying data from Azure Data Lake to database. Okay, that will be a good example. Okay, you can also add more link here. Okay, once this job gets completed, you can click on this and add more job. Okay, you can keep on adding. Okay, so you can create a bigger workflow also. It is not just one stop. Okay, from this application to this particular storage account, and from here you can create it to a Concur portal or Amazon S3 or whatever it is. You can just keep adding things. Okay, you can keep on adding flow things, but for now I just don't want to complicate these things because you guys are just learning it today. Okay, I'll just go and check if the stand folder 2 has got some content now. Not this, right? So this is the one. I created an empty folder. So let's see if the job has run and if it has copied some files here. The posts.tsv file should have got copied over here. If the pipeline has got completed, then we should see some files here. Okay, see that post.txt file has come here. Oh, okay, I have selected the destination formatted text. It was source file was TSV format and the destination file is now text format. You can just download this file and go through the content. It will have it. Okay, so this is how you can move contents from one application to another application and so on. Now I'll show you another example. Okay, which will be a very good example for you guys to play around. Okay, now what I've done is I've created a pipeline to move contents from Azure Data Lake to Azure Storage. Okay, and now I'm going to create a pipeline to move contents from Azure Data Lake to Azure Database. Okay, this will be quite interesting. Okay, let's go to the database which we created. Okay, a lot of transformation can be done. Okay, guys, I'm just giving a very high level view now. Okay, so a lot of things can be explored here. It is very easy to learn, but again, practical thing. Okay, so it's like a database administrator, right? From a database level, on a very high level, you can easily play around, right? You can create a database, you can create some tables within it, and that is not just that, right? So we have to learn how to do archiving, how to learn how to do log shipping, how to do normalization. So those are something which we can explore even within data factory also. So a lot of things are there. Okay, so let me go to the SQL databases. Do I have some servers? Okay, it has got created, it is online. Maybe I'll just go to the server and connect to it. Do I have some virtual machines?
Gee, I'm having just one doubt.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. Shouldn't it be the other way around, like transforming from the SQL databases to the Azure data lake?
Yeah, you can do it. See, at the end, I'm just going to create a pipeline and it can work anyway. Okay, so
Okay.
I'll show you. So after the pipeline is created, you will get to understand. You can play around from application to application also. That will be quite interesting. I'll show. I mean, let's see this example, and you will get to understand. Okay. So I got your point. Maybe like most of the cases, the application backend will be database, and the source will be generally database, and you might get that data and put it into some storage account for archiving or future reference. That is how the general world works. Yeah, that is true. Okay, so your ideology is correct, but yeah, let's do one thing. So this is, in fact, this is very complex. Okay, getting a content from database and storing it in data like what to say, storage account is very simple, straightforward. Okay, but I'm doing it in other way around. Okay, did I create some other name? Oh, I see. Okay, I have used stand here. Yeah. So this is a brand new server. This does not have anything within it. Okay. So I thought of taking Jenkins as an example for showing the pipeline also, but let's see if I get some time, I'll show you an example on how you can use Jenkins for the data flow. Okay, let me try this. Watch through this recording again. There are a lot of information I'm sharing today. So I did not type a lot of things because if I do that, it will take a lot of time. Okay, let me disable the firewall. I might need to add this server as a allowed source for the database management because I've added only my IP. This is my laptop IP. I have to add this IP also. Okay, good. So let me download Chrome or Edge browser, whatever is good. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect to my Azure SQL database and play around with that. Okay, maybe what we can do is we can also install SQL Management Studio. Maybe if possible, we'll also download SQL Azure Data Studio also. Download page maybe later. SQL Management Studio. Because we can see the output through this. Otherwise, you have to use, even you can use Azure database browser also, but this one will be much good. The view will be much better. Use the SQL Server Management Studio. If you want to manage Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Lake, Azure Databricks, databases, everything in one location, then go for Azure Data Studio. Okay, instead of what happened? Okay, maybe let's do that also. Azure Data Studio download. Okay, so this machine should be much faster. Okay, so let me download the latest version. Okay, this one, user installer. Okay. Okay, downloads. Okay, first we'll install SQL Management Studio, which is a tool to manage databases, right? You might have used that. This one you might have used it. So first we will install the SQL Management Studio. One minute, guys. It is taking its time to load. Okay, what happened? It's still running. Huh? What is happening to that other download? Okay, let me install this first. SQL Server Management Studio is getting downloaded and then it is getting vanished. Let me take some water here. Okay, fine. Now it is allowing me to save it. Okay, good. Okay, let this run first. Okay, so let this get completed. Okay, I'm just downloading Azure Data Studio as well as I'm downloading SQL Server Management Studio. I'll install both of them to show you the output after the data gets completed, data copy gets completed. Okay, so this is okay. Let me wait for this. Okay, this will take some time, guys. A lot. What we can do is, in meanwhile, okay, it's fine. It's fast, right? Okay, so I'll just copy this IP address, and then I'll go to the database, SQL database, and then I'll allow this IP address to connect. Okay, go to this database, and what you have to do is you have to go to add client IP and then allow that IP address. Okay, so get set server firewall, add client IP, and then I want to allow that IP address. Management VM1. Okay, I'll just save this. Okay, now I can connect to this database from that server. Let this get updated. Okay, it's updated now. Okay, so this is the name of the database. I'll go and create a database on this server now. Okay. Okay, let me try to run this also. I don't know if it will allow to run in parallel. I don't think so, but let's try. Oh, is it the same thing? Okay, I think it is also going to install the management studio also. Let's see that. Not it. It does not come. Okay, I'm just going to download that and connect to that database. Prior to that, we'll see which one we can migrate. Okay, possibly like, yeah, we can just do this time. I'll use that. We used a TSV file to get converted to a text file. Okay, here I'll use a JSON file instead to convert to a database table. Okay, this one will be a good example. Okay, let me try to do that. Okay, done. Okay, almost done. Okay, let's create a database once it is connected. We can also do that here also, but I just want to show you guys in a practical way. Okay, let me create one more job and I'll show you a quick example. Okay, so if you create, when you are creating a pipeline, okay, it goes and reads your file. Okay, for example, I was showing you some customer data, right? Let's take this as an example. This will the data copying tool, the pipeline will go and read the schema also. Okay, so if you look at this Excel file, okay, this has got two columns, right? Yeah, two columns, and this is the schema of this one. So it has got customer ID and it has allows numeric values, and it has got a name column where it allows some uh, varchar characters of a particular length here, right? Let's go and check that. Okay, it will go and check. Maybe we'll just say testing some Excel file. Okay, can just go and connect to that file, and let's see if it is able to read the schema of that. I think it is one. It is in one of them, right? I think it's in both of them. Maybe I'll select one of the storage account. I'll browse the folder, and within this, you can choose that specific file if you want to. Okay, it is asking what is the data set. Okay, maybe I'll go and choose that particular file first. One second, guys. I think I choose the wrong one. I'll browse the folder. Let me see if I have the option to choose the file. Okay, by default, it is going and choosing the which file. It is loading its schema. It is going to that post file. Instead, like we can choose a different file here. Let me do that. So let me create a new connection. So I'll connect to the blob storage, and then I'll select that Excel file for analysis. Let me choose the data lake storage. I'll go to the file path. Okay, I don't want the file path. Let me create it. Let me see if I'm able to choose that specific file. I should be able to. Okay, it is asking for data set. Now I can choose the file. Oh, here I can just expand this and then choose the file. I'm missing this step actually. Okay, so I can choose the file whichever I want. Even you can do it in the other connection also. I'm going to choose this file, and it is going to read the file, and it will tell me what kind of file it is. Okay, here it will say comma separated text format file, CSV file. This is the older Excel format, right? If it is an XLSX, it will say Excel format. Since it is a comma separated value, it is saying text format, and you can see that it is showing me whatever content is inside that. Okay, the column ID and the name, and you can go and check the schema also. See, it is they have configured for two columns. One is CID and name, and it has got these things. Okay, so it can read and transform things. Okay, so it's not just about transforming and loading. It also extracts the data. It also reads the file format. It analyzes the files. Okay, I just want to show that thing quickly, and while the database is getting created. Okay, perfect. So we'll go and connect to that database now. And okay, do we have that SQL Management Studio? Perfect. Okay, now let's connect to that database server. And then create a database. We'll not use the sample one. We'll create one database or one table for our demo. Have you guys worked with some kind of data pipelines previously? Like any exposure on data engineer work? Maybe for a database engineer, this one will be a cakewalk. Easily you can learn and adopt yourself because you have been doing a lot of work on the database, which is more into the data again. So let me connect to the server. I'll use a SQL authentication. The name is did I give Stan or Stanley? Let me try both. Okay, Stanley. Yeah. Okay, good. So it will have some sample database. Okay, this is the database which we have. Okay, so I'll go and create something like a new database and new table. Okay, so let's do one thing. Okay, let me create a different schema from the source. Okay, so what I have here. So I have got the schema here. Okay, so ID, F name, first name, last name, location. So this is the four columns I have in this schema. So similarly, I'll just create a schema which is very much similar but little different from here. I will say this is serial number, and I'll say that it can accept any numeric value. Okay, 18 characters is fine. So I'll say first name, and I can accept okay, varchar, right? Okay, it can accept 50. Okay, we have Magesh Babu, so nothing is beyond 10, right? That's fine. So last name, I'm giving a different column name here. I'm just relating it, but I'll show you how to do the mappings. Okay, this one I'll say it as address instead of location. Again, I'll accept something like a varchar. Okay, fine. So this is the destination table I'm creating to receive the file content. I'll say just again, I'll say weekend class something. Okay, so now I have source, I have the destination. Now let's jump into the data factory. Okay, let's interconnect and play around. Okay, from JSON to database. Okay, I can choose any of them because those files are present in every blob storage. I can choose that file now. Where is the weekend? Okay, this one. Okay, I can go next. I can here I will get the error if there is some issue. If that comma is not okay, that comma. Oh, okay, it's reading only one content, right? The first content. Okay, at least like it is it should read all four contents. Maybe I'm missing comma here. Okay, so I think I have to add location here comma. Maybe at least like let's see if this record is coming over and we can just play around again. You can see the schema that there are four different schema: ID, first name, last name, and location. Okay, and it has understood that this is a JSON format. Okay, instead of text. Now I'm going to connect to a database. This is Azure database only, right? So let's, okay, not Azure, it's database. I'll create a connection to that. This can be any application or anything. Okay, I'm just connecting. Oh, don't we have that option? SQL database. I think it should be somewhere here. Okay, here it is. Okay, it can be an Oracle server or it can be anything. Okay, so there are 100 plus applications and tool sets. I'm just connecting to this database. I'll use the database name. Okay, I have not selected it yet, right? So let me choose the subscription. Let me choose the server name. Let me choose the database which I want to copy over. Stan database. And I'll use my username and password. You can also store it in Key Vault and retrieve it. But yeah, so generally we will store it in Key Vault only. We'll not enter it here. Okay, let me create. Okay, make it a practice to test the connection prior to creating the linked service. Okay, anyways, it's connected. Don't save it. Just give next. Okay, it is asking. Okay, it is asking for mapping because it is seeing a difference in the schema. See, that is what I was telling, guys. So if you look at the data set, okay, it is trying to check what is in the source and destination. This is a file here. Okay, I'll just go and check if there is an option. Okay, let me do one thing. Okay, let me use this DB weekend class as the destination. It is asking which table you want to migrate to. I have selected the database table which I have created because it has got a lot of tables, right? Customer, because it is a sample one which I created and it has got a lot of tables. And I've just created this one weekend class, okay, which is currently empty. You can just check that. You can just say select top 1000 rows. Okay, you can see the output. It is empty here. Okay. So let me go back. Okay, I've selected the table. Okay, go next. Okay, it is asking there is a error because the source table and the destination table have different schema, and there is an option where I can go and do a mapping. Which one is referring to which? One second, guys. I think I missed that step somewhere. Auto create with the source schema. No, not auto create. I have to do a manual mapping. How do I do that? Okay, here is an okay, here it is. So schema. Okay. Let me see. One second, guys. I'm missing some option. There is a good option called mapping where I can go and choose the source and destination stuff. Skip. It's not skip. Okay, it is asking me. Okay, let me check here. I'm going for the new mapping. Let's see if there is an option here. It's asking me collection reference. Okay, here it is. Okay, good. So if you look at here, this is the source one, right? ID, first name, last name. This is the contents in the JSON file, and it is asking what I want to do on the destination side. There is one good option. I don't know. Okay. Let me do one thing, guys. Let me go back. Go to the SQL database, edit it. Do I have some option called mapping? New additional. I intentionally did it, okay, because I want to have some more learning here. So not this. Somewhere there's a good option called mapping. I'm just missing that. What happened here? Oh, I am missing this option. 1 minute, guys. Let me try one more time. Okay, so okay. Create a pipeline. Okay. I forgot that option. Where exactly that mapping? There is an option called mapping where you can map what is the source schema and destination schema. It will give me option to uh, play around with changing it. Let's try one more time. Okay, let me select this blob storage. Click next. Let me select that file. Weekend. Let me click next. Okay, schema is fine. Okay, that is fine. It says file schema not defined. Okay. Okay, this is destination. Destination is SQL database. Okay, so here is where I should get some option. Auto create, use existing. This is the source. Okay. Oh, okay, I think the source should be customer blob storage using this. Okay, let me auto create. Let's try this. Okay. Okay, let me try this, guys. I'll show you maybe after the break. I'll just explore where exactly is the mapping option. There is a good option called mapping where you can just map which column should correspond to which column. Okay, now it will work. Actually, the pipeline will work. The data will get copied from the blob storage to the database. But the thing is, there is an option somewhere within this destination or some okay, in edit pipeline or somewhere. I have option called mapping. Okay, that mapping will help you to select which source schema is mapped to which scheme, which destination schema. Okay, so let that data gets copied over, but meanwhile I'll go and explore this here. Okay, here it is. Okay guys, I got it. Okay, so if you look at here, you can go and do a mapping. Okay, you can create mapping here where you can just say the first column is in the source side. This is like first name, and on the here, like you can just map it to first name on the column. Like, you guys are getting me right. So here I have different names here. I have ID, F name, L name, and location. In destination, I have to map it to serial number, and then destination I have to map it to first name. So this mapping I have to do because the schema is different. The record data will not go until if you map like provide the mapping for the conflicting ones. Okay, I have to do this mapping. For ID, it should go to a serial number. F name should go to first name. So I have to do this. Maybe let's see if it has worked. Okay, let's try this. Okay, oh, it has all come null. Maybe like I did not have a comma on the source. Maybe let's try this once after the break. Okay, it's already 8:05. Okay, so the data has come. Okay, 3 contents have come, 3 rows have come. The reason is like we have got 3 different sections, but I did not do the mapping. Okay, that's the problem. And also possibly I don't have a comma here. Maybe I have to add comma at the very end here. Let me do that, and I'll show this demo right after the break again. Okay, so it has worked actually. Okay, you can see that 3 entries have come, but it did not have the mapping, so it did not copy the contents and organize it. Okay, maybe after the break I'll show you how the entire flow works. We should see the exact data from the source to destination. The pipeline has worked, but the pipeline had some conflicts, and they did not copy the contents properly. Okay, so this is how it works on a very high level. I'll show this demo again after the break, and you will get a clear understanding. So time is 8:07. Maybe we'll resume back at 8:37. Okay, and we'll complete the other topics, pending topics today. Yeah. Any questions before I stop the recording and go for dinner?
This conference will now be recorded.
Dinner late பண்ணிட்டாங்க கொஞ்சம். Okay, so let's resume where we left. Okay, அந்த issue மட்டும் போய் fix பண்ணிடலாம். Okay, ஸோ அந்த ஃபைல் பிரச்சனை இல்லை தான் போல இருக்குது. இது வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா செக் பண்ணேன், இந்த இது கமாலாம் தேவையில்லை. ஓகே, என்ன ஒன்று இங்கே சின்ன ஆப்ஷன் தான் மிஸ் பண்ணுறேன். லெட் மீ ட்ரை தட் அகெயின்.
Hi Stan, sorry to
Yeah.
Dinesh.
Yes, Dinesh.
The last session is completed. Just now I joined.
No. Session is ongoing. We have few more topics to discuss. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Stan. Just now I joined. I have some the work, that's why I get delayed.
No worries.
No problem.
No.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So let's try that again. Okay, I'm just choosing the file and selecting that JSON file. Okay, it has found the format. One minute guys, let me move this. Okay, and schema is there. Okay, good. And I'm selecting the destination. Going next. Okay, so here is where I have the error, right? Okay, I'll choose the table. Okay, I'll show you guys. So I'm still in the screen. Okay, I have not done anything. Let's try it again. Okay, select top rows, and it is still reporting null. Okay, that is fine. Let me minimize this. Click next. And here is where I have to fix the mapping. Okay, so the problem is I did not scroll to the right. Okay, so there is a column here. Okay, that should be the problem. Okay, if you look at here, it is saying these are the source schema, and on the destination side, what is the match? Okay, so you have to fix this error. Okay, and I have to select it now. So for the ID, I have to select the serial number. Okay, I should get that in the drop down. Okay, it is coming. Okay, so it is taking some time. Okay, so even when you try it, you have to wait some time. You have to be patient. Okay, it is coming now. You can choose for the F name. You can choose first name now on the drop down. Better to choose in the drop down. Okay, let me move this. Let me try. Where is this? This screen is okay. Here it is. Okay, I can see first name. Okay, I can just say last name. Okay, last name. Can go to the drop down, type for address. Mm, Okay, address. Okay, fine. So now I should see the error is gone now. Okay, if you're playing around with errors, those data will get copied over, but it will be copied over as a null data. Okay, so that is the problem earlier. Now I can just try it. Okay, so once this is done, you can close the screen. So wait for the pipeline to complete and finish it and then close the screen. Okay, so you can check the pipeline anytime. You can monitor it here. Okay, you can go to monitor and then check what is the current status. You can validate what's happening. Okay, so you can see that it is completed. It took 10 seconds for the transformation. Okay, you can also rerun it again. You have option to it. You have the option to monitor also. And now let us go and check. So here is where like you add the linked sources, like what are the different services you are playing around with the source and destination. Okay, so you can add applications also like Concur, whatever service now. A lot of different options are there. Even you can add a lot of Google Cloud service or Amazon services also. You can add here as a linked service. You can just go here and add the source and destination services. Okay, so Redshift, Cosmos DB. Concur booking portal, Amazon Marketplace. So you can add a lot of things. Okay, now let's go here. Okay, let's select. We should see the perfect. Okay, so the problem is it still has that old pipeline. So we can delete these things and then we can run it. You can see that the data has got copied over. Okay, this is what it was there in the JSON file. You remember, right? This is what we added, correct? So Mahesh Babu Chennai, Vishwanathan Bangalore, and Karthik Naraj Mumbai. Okay, this is what we had it. Okay, so the contents has got copied from the JSON to a database. And Subbu, yeah, we can do the other way around also. You can export it into an Excel file, or you can export it into a JSON file from database to. The only thing is like we are dealing with two different sources. It can be two different application, or it can be two different data sources, or it can be database to data warehouse. Okay, it can be anything. Okay, so it depends on the application that we are dealing with. You got the point, right?
Yes, JK, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So I think we are good with this one. Okay. So any doubts, any questions so far, guys? So what we are doing is we are doing ETL job. This is the role that data engineer plays. Okay. They extract the data, transform it, and then they load it into different system. So we are at a very beginning stage, and we have more tools. Like let's play around with Azure, or maybe Synapse Analytics first. Yeah. So Azure Synapse Analytics is having more services compared to your what to say Data Factory and Data Lake. Data Factory and Data Lake, they have got only ETL job alone. This can do more analytics. It can play around with even further amount of data. It acts as data warehouse especially. Okay, so maybe let on a very high level, when you compare it with data lake can deal with any amount of data or any kind of data. Okay, and I say any kind, like I'm referring to the structured, unstructured, semi-structured. It was able to work with JSON files. It was able to work with databases. It was able to work with CSV files. So it worked with all different structured. Okay, whereas Synapse Analytics, it cannot work with all kind of data. It generally it generally deals with structured and processed data. Maybe let me give a use case scenario in real time. I'll show some diagrams so that you get to understand. Okay. Let's see. Okay, just these slides are for data engineer, but I just want to show you some. Hmm. Okay, here it is. Okay, so this is one real case example where this is the architecture where we have source files. Okay, this can come from an application like Concur or whatever application. It can be a Workday or ServiceNow, whatever it is, and it can come from a storage account or a server log, or it can be anything. Okay, it can be a source. Okay, we are getting a source and we are ingesting that data into Azure Data Factory, and this kind of transforms the data and then it further moves it to either a data lake storage, or it can move it to a storage account, or it can move to any further location, and you can use Power BI to visualize the data that we have got after the transformation. Okay, sometimes before you put it into Power BI, that data might need to be processed even further. Okay, so you have to structurize it more, you have to add some more schema, or you have to add more normalization, you have to do more cleanup. Okay, and you have to do some more data validation. Okay, if that is the case, then you can put it into Synapse Analytics. It is the new name for a data warehouse. Okay, so Synapse Analytics is something, let me just clearly document it here. Synapse Analytics is data factory plus data bricks plus data warehouse and Hadoop file system. Okay, it is a combination of all these things. Okay, so based on the application or based on the requirement, okay, some data engineer will work with data lake storage alone. For example, if he wants to move data from one source to another destination, like it can be application to database or storage to database, this can be enough. In some cases, you might need to have more control. You might need to have work on the normalization activity, or you might need to define the schema, or you might need more control. Example, maybe on some of the financial and CRM applications, you might need more control or more option to customize. Okay, so if that is the case, then people have to start using Azure Synapse Analytics. So this is not kind of software as a service. You can just compare these things as a platform as a service or software as a service, but this has got more control on the software layer. But I'll come to Azure Databricks, where you have control on the infra layer also. Okay, but I'll come to that little later. But for now, so Azure Synapse Analytics, it has got data factory functionalities. Data factory is nothing but what we saw now. Using data factory, we migrated, transformed the data, right? So that can be done using Synapse Analytics. On top of that, it can also have some more data warehousing activities. Data warehouse is where we process the data even further. Okay, we can just say, so in order for the business to consume, or maybe in order for better visualization, okay, in order for better visualization, like why we are visualizing things. Okay, so for business to take it, and then this is all business insight, right? So this will give you insight on where we are performing better, or what things we can do to improve ourselves better. So this all gives you inputs for improving your way of business, right? So that's the end objective. And sometimes your data might come and the transformed data might not be readily consumable. Okay, if that is the case, you have to process it more using data analytics, or sorry, Synapse Analytics, and then you have to transform it one more level again. Okay, so we have already transformed it here, but again, that is not readily available, or we cannot use it directly on the application or the Power BI to consume it. So what we can do is either you can prepare it more, or you can model it again. The schema can be remodeled or revisited, and then you can serve it for Power BI. Okay, so this is something, it has got analytics plus some more customization options available. I'll show you an example. Okay, so you'll get to understand it. But for now, compared to data lake is kind of just a storage plus analytics. Okay, 1 second, guys. Let me message him. Okay. One second, guys. I'm just replying back to message. Okay, let me go on mute 1 minute. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So okay, so what I was telling is like this one is more. I mean, it provides you more granularity to play on the data. Okay, so even sometimes the analyzed data or the summarized data might not be directly consumable, and in order to have better decision making or better business insight, you might have to put it into Synapse Analytics, where it can get you more option to do some tweaking, and then it will get you the data for further business improvements. Okay, so it is not always business improvement. Sometimes it may be for historical, or sometimes it might be for some auditing purpose, or sometimes you might have to provide the data for some security and compliance requirement. Okay, so we are transforming the data that we have in order to use it for some business requirement. Okay, it need not be always business enhancements and business insight. Sometimes we might need to provide that data for a particular vendor. They might get that, and then maybe they want to improve the game, or maybe they want to improve how we are dealing with the telemetry. Okay, so sometimes the data that we provide might not be directly consumable, and in that case we might have to prepare it more. Okay, so let me I'm just thinking a way on how I can relate these tool sets easily. Okay, so data factory is something where we do the data ingestion. Okay, primarily like we feed the data, and also we deal with data movement there. We copy the data from one location to another location, right, using data factory. That is the primary functionality of Azure Data Factory. Just to start with, okay, just to related things. And data lake storage, it is to have some data storage, plus it provides you analytics. Okay, that is what data lake storage is all about. Maybe I'll just have full name. Okay, it is more of a data store. Okay, we can just say it is a storage location. Okay, primarily. And the other one, Synapse Analytics, right? Now we are talking about Synapse Analytics. Okay, where we process the data even further, we model the data even further for better serving. Okay, for better serving of the data. Okay, we do more modeling, or we do more processing of the data that we have. And sometimes we might have to train the data before we put it into Synapse Analytics. For training the data, for preparing the data, we might sometimes use Databricks. It is not always needed, but for some preparation or from training the data to be put into the warehouse, we have to use Databricks for even further thing. Maybe this one should come before it. If you look at here, I'll show you the difference. Even in the use case here, you can see that not always the data has to go to Databricks and then go to Power BI. Sometimes it can directly go to uh, data warehouse or Synapse Analytics, and then it can go to Power BI. Sometimes the data might have to get prepared again and again in order to make it consumable in the Power BI. At the end, we are going to visualize the data. Power BI is a visualization tool. We are going to get details about our business pattern, about how we are how the users are using the gaming application or mobile application, or how the data flow is happening, from where the data flow is happening, or how our accounting model works, or how the financial thing is happening, or how many orders are happening from where. So this is all reporting, right? So different industry vertical might use these tool sets at different layers. Some might use only two tool sets, or sometimes like it might be just only analytics alone. So okay, it depends on the use case and what kind of data we have to play around. Okay, so this might uh, differ case to case based on the application and data that we have to work. Okay, so at least like you guys have to just understand it on a very high level. Even if you're not understanding how the tool works and how the demo and those things, at least like we have to understand what is the purpose of this tool, and what is the end thing that it provides to us, right? So mostly Azure Data Factory, it can work with any kind of data. Okay, so if you have multiple varieties of data, then definitely you need to put it into data factory and then modify it. This can consume only structured and processed data. That is the important thing. Okay, so it cannot take the raw data directly. Okay, so these tools, Databricks as well as Synapse Analytics, it cannot take the, or it cannot import, or it cannot ingest the raw data directly. So we have to transform it using Azure Data Factory, and then we have to load it here. And this has more processing options where you can even further normalize the data. I mean, how many of you are from database engineer background? I did not ask that at the beginning. So like I heard someone, right, during last to last week, someone said they have some database background. So have you guys heard about term called normalization? Okay, so you guys are hearing me okay? Let me take one tablet, please. Okay, just give me a minute. You guys are hearing me okay, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Ram,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Okay, have you heard about normalization?
Yeah. I have basically from data production, but I have some knowledge in the DB as well.
Okay, go ahead, please. Yeah, just try to explain, because I mean I get different answers from different people, right? So even I can learn from you. Okay, what exactly is normalization? Because normalization is the regular routine work which a database administrator does. I'm just looking into some tablets. Okay, go ahead. If you have some points. Yeah. Next. Okay, then if you don't have some
I
points, then
see.
maybe I can. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a
Yeah.
structural thing, right?
Mhm.
To the structural data on the database level, it will
Okay.
segregate the data. What is structured data, unstructured data? It will segregate, and then it will go with the take it everything as a structural way.
Okay. So yeah, that is kind of correct. Okay. Any other points from others?
Uh, Data redundancy, and it improves the integrity of the data.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah. You're kind of coming to that point. Correct. Okay. So yeah. So normalization is something like as a systems administrator, you can think of deduplication first. Okay. So deduplication, what we do, we eliminate the duplicate content from the file system, right? So by doing deduplication, we eliminate the redundant data. So instead of storing the same contents again and again, we eliminate duplication, right? First, that is the first basic thing. I mean, in databases, how they achieve it is they do a linking concept. Okay, so they create a soft link, and they have only one source. Like this is what we do in Linux and Windows also, right? We create soft links and hard links where you can have only one copy, and the other files will start referencing it. Like even in Hyper-V also, we have something called referencing disks, where you can have only one OS disk, and multiple VMs can use that OS disk, something like that. So deduplication is the primary thing, and we are eliminating redundant data also. Like sometimes, like this is not just about deduplication, it also reduces the redundant data wherever possible, and it stores only once and then connects to multiple databases. And also it organizes the data again. Okay, so it does a data rearrangement, so that it does a structure what it is coming up is in a much better way. I mean, we can say like the data dependencies, or the data links are making sense to the application. So if you have some data which is not properly linked, okay, it might not make sense. Okay, so that data might not be used anywhere, and we might not have a fast throughput or a fast transaction, right? So the end objective here is we are reducing the complex data within the database, and we are eliminating the duplication, redundancy, and then we are doing a proper arrangement of the data. We are creating link between the data, and then we are eliminating the unwanted space. We are reducing the data space at the end, and by doing this, your database will be much efficient. You can do a transaction, and the transaction will be much faster, and the querying will be much quicker, because we don't have a lot of redundancy, we don't have a lot of duplicate data. So at the end, the objective is quicker transaction or quick throughput. Maybe I can just say quick throughput or faster transaction of your application, or we can just say querying, quick querying. Okay, so yeah, maybe these are the three end objective. But yeah, the database administrator, they do a lot of data processing, data rearrangement, elimination of duplicate data. They examine the data and then they delete unwanted jobs. They delete unwanted batch jobs or scheduled jobs. Okay, so in order to resume the compute and data space. Okay, that is what normalization is all about on a very high level. Okay, this is what a database engineer does. Even on the data engineer side also, they also do a similar thing on the Synapse Analytics, which is the data warehouse. They do it on the data warehouse instead of database. Database engineer does normalization on the database, whereas data engineer does normalize the same kind of work, which is the normalization on the data warehouse product instead of the database level. Okay, uh, did that make sense? I mean, someone was explaining, right? I was just looking around for some tablets, and then I lost who was speaking at that time. So, any other points to add here? Is this okay? Or am I speaking on mute? All right. Okay. Okay, guys. So, any questions so far before we go and create a warehouse? I need some answer, guys.
No, sir. No,
Okay.
this is good.
Yeah.
If we go in
Yeah.
depth, it's deleting, inserting on the table level. It used to go.
Yeah.
That is a
Correct.
pure
Correct.
DB.
Yeah, the work will go even much granular, because like they have to rearrange the data, they will delete and do a lot of things. That is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, on a very high level, I was just explaining what they do and what for what purpose, right? So their end objective is they want to have the application working quicker. So they want the transaction to complete quicker. They want to have the database returning results very quicker. That is what the end objective is. So that they do normalization on a weekly basis or a daily basis based on the size of the database, or based on the criticality of the application. They do these things on a regular interval. But yeah, so when you are a database engineer, you will get to learn this in a very quick fashion, 1 or 2 days. Like if you sit along with the database engineer, you can get to learn this. But yeah, this is something which they generally do on a routine basis. Okay, so normalization is a regular interview question if you are attending database interviews. But fine, yeah. So here I'm just going to create a Synapse Analytics. So it was I mean, there used to be different names before. I think earlier they call it as Azure Data Warehouse, or they used to call it as Azure Data SQL Pool, something like that. Okay, so now they have changed this to Azure Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, and if you look at here, it is a combination of all these four. Okay, that is the beauty of this tool. Okay, even I can just copy the entire thing. So it clearly states that it is a modern data warehouse. Okay, so this is the replace. It's not a replacement. You can just say it is a version 2 of data warehouse. Okay, and it has got a lot of functionalities. It has got SQL. It has got Apache Spark. It has got orchestration. It has got data lake also. Okay, data lake plus data factory plus Apache Spark for analytics and SQL database. All four things combined together. This is what I was telling earlier. Okay. So this can be Hadoop, or it can be Apache Spark also. Okay. Okay, let me create it and show you guys. So maybe I'll see if there is a slide. I used to have one slide. Not sure if it is in the same slide. Okay. Okay, so I think this will help you summarize things very easily. Okay, in Azure Data Factory, what we did, we created pipeline, we selected the source, we got some output, and we can also link it to other services like your Concur, or your ServiceNow, or whatever tool sets. Okay, that is what all Data Factory is all about. So we have input data, we have output data set, and we are managing it through pipeline. And we generally have to link the services before we do all these things. So these are the four different components which is important in Azure Data Factory. So this summarizes it very quickly. And I don't know, so if I have something for data warehouse, Synapse Analytics, I did have some slide before. Okay, guys, I don't know, like here it is. Sorry, yeah. So if you look at here, this is the case before 2 years or 1.5 years. Okay, so we get raw data. Raw data can come from servers or log files or some storage account, some social application. It can be from IoT. It can be from your business application, some SQL database. Structured data is database, right? Yeah. So it can come from any raw format, and we put it into data factory. And from here, it goes to big data, and then it goes to data warehouse, and then it goes to visualization. So this was the flow before, and this has got changed to one product which is called Synapse Analytics, which has got all four components within that. Okay, earlier we used to have four different components, and we have to deal with four different products and services within Azure, and we have to link everything manually. But now we have one single product called Synapse Analytics, which is a combination of data lake storage, SQL data warehouse, data factory, and also big data. So all these things combined together, and we have got new service called Synapse Analytics. Does this make sense now? Okay, it used to be different services earlier, and we have to manually create the links and play around, and we did not have a one-stop solution. Now it is a one single stop solution, which was recently done. I think maybe 1.5 years exactly. I mean, maybe, yeah, 1.5 years or 1 year before they did this. Okay, so let me create it. Okay, so these services are heavy cost services. Okay, if you create it, remove it again. Okay, so workspace is where we play around with creating pipelines and those things. Let me create a Stan workspace one. Okay, I'll create it in MistUS. Okay, and I'll create a name. Okay, it is asking for which data lake storage to use. Okay, I can create one new data lake storage, or I can use the existing one. I'm using the existing one. So as I said, so it also has data lake storage within this. Okay, so data lake storage is part of Synapse Analytics. You can use it as part of Synapse Analytics, and you can use a specific folder. I have selected folder one again. Okay, and it is asking it needs a SQL credential also. So be clear, guys, it also has SQL component also within this. Okay, so Synapse Analytics, it has got SQL plus Apache Spark plus orchestration and ingestion. Okay, all four combined together is SQL Analytics. So I'm configuring the SQL portion of it now. Okay, it has got inbuilt database option also. I'll just name it as Stanley. Okay. Okay, so if you look at this SQL pools, workspace SQL pools is nothing but data warehouse. Okay, so it used to be data warehouse earlier. They used to call it as data warehouse, but now sorry, they used to call it as SQL pools earlier, but now it has got rebranded to data warehouse. Okay, so let me go and create it. So these days, okay, Microsoft has changed the way things work. Okay, earlier they used to they will not provide this virtual network option. Earlier we used to have shared VNet for all the services, whereas customers were very concerned that their services are hosted on a shared VNet, where even the competitors' services might end up on the same network. So now every provide or every consumer, they want their own network, but again this one is more security, but you will have more control on the network traffic, where you can play around on the ACL and security group, but it will be more work for you guys. But yeah, so more security, more work for you. Okay, so you can have your own virtual network to host the service. So this option has been enabled on almost all the services very recently, like less than 6 to 8 months. So earlier, like we did not have option to choose VNet for these services, but now every consumer, or majority of the consumer, they are looking for control on the network level. Okay, so now Microsoft has allowed it. Okay, so which is good, and you can create it. Okay, this is going to create a lot of things. Okay, it's going to cost us more. Okay, 330 rupees per TB. Okay, so let it create. I know I'm just providing you a lot of information, but yeah, so just try to digest as much as possible. Yeah, so otherwise, you can plan for data engineer at a later time. So you can also attend data engineer complete syllabus in March. I'm planning for one. Okay, that will give you even more granular details on each and every services which we are discussing even today. Okay, we'll spend one tool on one day. Like even we will not be rushing like this. So we'll spend one day for Azure Data Factory, one day for maybe a couple of days for Azure Synapse Analytics, because this is a very huge topic, and one weekend for Factory, something like this. Okay, let this get created. And that I'm planning to cover Power BI also within that as part of the data engineer track. So this is in high demand now. A lot of customers or a lot of people are looking for Power BI. It is the best visualization tool in the market now. So yeah. So let this get created. Meanwhile, let me check. Okay, let me go here. Okay, this is something fine. Okay, we have not opened that data studio yet, right? So this one SQL Management Studio will help you to connect to SQL Server, and you can play around with SQL databases, right? But Data Studio is something which can connect for any different data tools. Okay, like your Synapse Analytics, you can connect to your Databricks, you can connect to your data lake. Okay, even you can connect to your server also. Okay, let me connect to the server first. Okay, I'll connect to the SQL server and I'll show you the same thing. Okay, it will be the same kind of information here. But on top of that, you can use the Azure Data Studio to connect to even further different tool sets. So with that, you can move around data even very easily. Okay, I'll show you something. Okay, let me copy here. So that Synapse Analytics will take some time because it has to create 4 different components. Okay, let me use SQL authentication. Stanley and password. Okay. You can connect to a specific database if you want to, but yeah, so I can connect to StanDB alone. Okay, yeah, let me do that. Connect it. And you can see the same kind of data, and you can see that weekend class here. Okay, all tables are listed, and this will be like little different view, but yeah, you can directly go and check here. See, these are the columns, and I can just go and check the contents. Okay, it will provide these data. Okay, so this is also a good tool, Data Studio, and I've connected to the server now. I'll show you how to connect to Azure other services. Let me add my account here. Even you can add multiple accounts here. Okay, let me try to add my account first. I'm audible, right? You guys are following me, okay, right? Okay, my account has got added. Yes, no?
Yes, Sonia, we can hear you.
Okay, fine. So if you look at here, now I can see that I have this account added, and you can see whatever services that is there within the, see all different data services are listed. Data Explorer, database, SQL database, whatever we have in Azure, everything will be listed now. Even the Stan workspace, which we are just creating, the Synapse Analytics, right? So that is also is getting listed here. So everything you can add my client IP. This is very user-friendly tool. You can add a range of addresses. Okay, it will take some time because it is just getting created. Okay, I can go and add it later. But yeah, you can just see this. Okay, so this is a very good tool. Azure Data Studio is one of the tool that data engineer regularly deals with because he has one tool to manage all different data sources, right? He can create a workbook, he can create a workspace, he can create database, everything in one location. Okay, so workspace is a component of data warehouse, Notebook is a component of Databricks, and database is a component of, database again. Database and tables are part of your database. So all three can be created in your SQL data, Azure Data Studio. If you minimize this, you can also see the big data clusters also. Okay. So as of now, we don't have anything. I'll create a cluster in parallel. Okay, let's do that. Okay, let me go and create a cluster for you guys. Okay, this one gives you more granularity on the infrastructure layer also. You can choose what kind of CPU you want, what kind of memory you want. This is also similar to that other tools, whereas you get option to choose the cluster for the backend Apache environment, Apache Spark environment, or for your Hadoop cluster, you can choose what kind of server sizing you need. Okay, so that option is provided using Databricks. So all these tools does the same thing, but it provides you more different levels, like service level is different. So data lake, you just use it as a service, like kind of PaaS service. And if you go to Synapse Analytics, you get the option to choose what SQL version you want, or what kind of application layer, platform layer you can choose. This one will give you option to choose what kind of backend servers you need for this. Okay, let me try to create it. Okay, so let me create Stan Workspace 1. Okay, so Azure Databricks, it has Synapse Analytics into it. Okay, Databricks is even a bigger technology compared to Synapse Analytics. Okay, so I'm creating a workspace. I'll just choose East US. Okay, so I'll go for trial now, because I don't want to cost, this will cost us more money. Okay, only trial is possible because this is a free tier account. Maybe not in my account, like in your account, you can just play around with this free trial only, because you will not have option to create servers. Okay, so use this trial option when you are playing around. Okay, deploy Azure. Okay, if you want, yeah, so this is the same thing, right? So if you want to have your own virtual network, you can use it, but yeah, a lot of customers are asking for it. So Microsoft has added networking section in all services now. Okay, let me create it. Okay, this is going to create a backend cluster. Okay, we can create servers, we can have more nodes for us. Okay, so that option will come now. Okay, once the Databricks environment is created, it will help us, it will give us option how many backend servers we need, how many clusters you need for this data warehousing. Okay, those options will come now. Okay, let me close the other topics. So this one, you guys are clear, right? I'll try to delete this one to resume some space. Okay, so if in case you want to have more easier way to play around, what you can do is you can go to home on the, this one is data factory, right? So you can go to home, and in this you have option called template. Okay, so with template you can easily create resources. Okay, it gives you a straightforward option. Okay, you don't have to even create pipeline like how we did. There will be templated pipeline options. You can just go and select a graphical method. For example, you want to copy data, means you can select this. On the scroll down, you can just say what you want to do, whether you want to move data from database to data explorer, or bulk copy from database, or what you want to do. Like you can select what is the activity that you're planning, from files to database, or maybe from Hadoop file system, or Netezza to Azure data lake. Okay, there are a lot of options. Okay, so as a data engineer, they will be dealing with only these things. Okay, you can select whatever option you want to. Like even you can clean up some things also using pipelines. Okay, it is not just data copying alone. You can also archive, you can also delete, you can just do a delta copy of a content from one particular location to a database. Okay, so you can do a lot of things. So you can select something here. Okay, if you want to move files from one location to another location, you can just select it. It is going to give us option from where to where, like from S3 to Azure, or from data lake to blob storage, or from where to where. Okay, so this one is much easier. Okay, the templated options, it is like all graphical option, and you can easily play around. Okay, so for example, I can just say okay, go to this metadata. Okay, let me do one thing. I have the screen. Okay, so you can just select data source as data lake storage, and destination is, let me just scroll this. Okay, I can just say, I mean, for example, I'm not seeing the other options here. It is there below. Okay, maybe I'll just choose this one different. Okay, you can just select this and then use the template. So it will automatically populate the template, source and destination, and you can start playing around things. Okay, so template is like very straightforward. Okay, compared to your pipeline creation, you can just see 4 resources and it created a pipeline. It started moving the data also. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. It works much faster. But when you are playing around with templates, you have to be extra careful because some option it will automatically select as default and move things. Okay, so you have to be very careful when you're playing around with templates. Better to go with the way that I showed you earlier. Okay, whereas you have better control where you go and select which linked service and which data you are playing around, what is the type of data, what is the schema. You get more options when you go with step-by-step options. So this template is useful, but it will cause a lot of concern. Sometimes it will overwrite the data, or it will cause some unwanted confusions. Okay, you can use template if your destination is empty. Okay, if you're playing around with some test data and you have some better backup, then template is much better. Okay, so that is a quick heads up, guys. I mean, maybe it's like not, I have not covered a lot of things. There are few more things which I can cover, but I want to limit myself here so that you don't get too much confused. I'll delete that data factory. I don't know how many of you are practicing. I know few guys like who are practicing. Okay, like Subu and those guys are practicing well. So you guys have to practice it. Okay, otherwise you are not going to get a good visibility on these services. So practice is important for these ones. Okay, let me delete this. Right, and I'll just type the name. So these are all for DP200 exam, guys. Okay, you don't have to worry about these things for your regular exam. Okay, and maybe I'll just quickly summarize. Okay, so for your the next exam, I think many of you are preparing for AZ 104. I mean, almost all of you have written 900. So for 104, networking is the most important thing. 40% of the question comes from networking. Let me quickly check the current syllabus. Maybe it might have got slightly changed. Let me give you the exact weightage for that. 1 second, guys. Where exactly it is. So the cluster is getting created. Okay, so meanwhile, I'll just make use of the time to just quickly show you something. Okay. So majority, like almost 35 to 40% are around networking. So if you have networking thorough, you can, I mean, most of the questions you can answer in AZ 104. And next one is the compute, where you get close to 25 to 30% of the question comes from here. Okay, which is virtual machines and those things. And the next one is the storage, where you get 15% of the questions. Okay, so it is plus or minus, right? So from 10 to 15%, 30 to 35%, something like that. And identity is the next thing. Okay, which is Active Directory. We can just say AD and short AD and RBAC, where 15 to 20% of the questions from there. And the next one is backup and Azure topics, right? So this is like 15% weightage. Okay, this is the only topics that is for the AZ 104. Okay, you can check it online also. Okay, if you want to do it. Okay, you can go here. So only those topics, if you prepare, you can complete 104. You don't have to prepare for containers or app services or those things. Okay, you can just check this here. So this is what I was typing there. Okay. So this is identity and governance, which is the AD 15%, and storage, which is 15% again. Networking is 35%. This one, and compute is 25 to 30%, and this one is backup and monitoring is 10 to 15%. Okay, so with this 5 topics, you should be able to appear for 104, And the next exam, which is focused on this course, is AZ 303, right? So for AZ 303, again, one second, guys. So the primary topic for that is security topics, security, RBAC, and those things. And next one is app services. And whatever, like we are discussing the data related storage account, database, and whatever we are dealing today, data. Okay, and then monitoring, patching, and governance, or whatever backup and those things, right? So this is all related to AZ 303. Okay, so any questions on this? Okay, so you have to prepare in such a way that you are focused on the specific topics for the exam. Don't keep on studying everything. Okay, so if you complete these topics alone, you should be able to clear those exams. Okay, whatever we are discussing today is all related to DP 200 related thing. Okay, so I want to make things clear. So any questions on that? So if you, as I said, if you have missed any topics, you can attend during my weekday session. Okay, there is a session going on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, and this is morning 8 to 10 p.m. Okay, if you have missed some topics, you can attend it here. Or if you want to attend it on weekends, the same time is available from next week. Okay, so you can attend the missed topics, or even if you want to refresh it also, I'm okay with that. Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Stan. I mean, I was talking there. I think I was talking while on mute. So
Yeah,
we are
maybe.
preparing for 104, Stan.
Yeah.
You know already, right? So I already
Yeah.
told you, and myself and Vijay are working on that on a regular
Yeah.
basis. So actually, we went through the last dump what you provided. So usually we just try to understand each questions and try to work out in the lab and then find out
Correct.
how it works and all. So
Yeah.
there are we have few clarifications. We
Yeah.
thought we will discuss with you maybe once you're
Sure,
done. I
sure,
know
sure.
we are focusing on different exams, so we don't want to bring that. So do
Today,
you
yeah,
think we can touch base on this today, or
Sure,
maybe,
sure.
maybe we will do it later when you are?
Yeah, we can connect later. I have got some tablets. I have taken some tablets. Okay, so as I said, I had some stitches in my mouth for some
That's
wisdom
the
tooth
reason I
removal.
wanted to. I didn't want to disturb you.
Right. I'm already kind of a little dizzy now. So I mean, say like it's drowsy. Okay, so
No problem, no problem. You
yeah,
take care. Actually, we have few
yeah,
questions and one more thing.
yeah.
So,
We can connect. Yeah,
whatever the you gave, so is it? I mean, we
yeah.
know we could able to use the patterns with AZ 900, but with 104, we would, if we prepare for those questions and understand those questions, specific concepts, we should be good, right?
Yes. We should be pretty much good. Even day before yesterday and one day before, a couple of people completed. I'm just checking if they are from this batch. 1 minute. Who was those?
Sure.
One is Ebenezer, and he's not from this group. Okay, yeah, a couple of people completed in this week. Okay, so we should be good with that dump. Okay, so that dumps definitely work. I mean, it's working.
So I mean, because the last time for 900, you said, I mean, somebody told me that it will be up to 60%, and then we have to refer it to me and all, right? So if that sort of help should also really give us some clarity on what are the things we need to prepare.
So yeah, that I think 60% is something like marginal, but again, you should have got more questions from the dumps. Yeah, so you should be good actually. Yeah, so 2 people completed this week. Okay, I think even is it Perumal? One second, let me check. Too many Christmas, New Year, Pongal wishes, right? So I'm just getting lost track of those completions. Okay, anyways, I'll check. So, but anyways, those dumps definitely work. Okay, so a couple of people completed 2 days, 2 or 3 days back. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so Stan, like even I have one question. This Vision.
Hmm.
So you said that for corporate people, big corporate people, you will get some discount for AZ 104.
Yeah.
So do you have any steps, or can you at the end of this class maybe you can share that info just quickly, maybe 5 to 10 minutes?
Sure. Yeah, would you like to share? I'll stop recording for 5 minutes. I'll show you that, and then I can resume here because this cluster creation will take some time. Okay. So
Okay.
let me stop recording. I'll make
This conference will now be recorded.
stop it. When
This
you are
conference will
ready to
now be
start.
recorded.
Yeah, for you it should
Yes,
work.
I have already claimed it,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
claimed in my TCS asset. So
See,
since it's my personal asset,
so
I have to start from
yeah,
scratch.
see, we just gave the Daimler ID, right? Email
yeah.
ID.
Yes, Daimler ID.
So I think then it should work for me as well.
Yes,
Yes, yes,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, then. So coming back to the data bricks. Okay, so okay, we've got only 14 minutes. Huh? So, yeah. So let me try this here. Okay, if you go here, like you can launch the workspace. Okay, so this is something where you have more control. Okay, this is all all stuffs are very much similar. Okay, maybe let's see that data workspace. Now that data bricks. But again, for what is his name, Ashok, you have to just go through the same error. Okay, use the company ID first, and then it will give you the corporate Office 365 ID, and then use that corporate ID to claim it. Okay.
Sure, sure, Stan. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
just try with Vijay once after this call.
yeah, yeah. Sure, sure. Yeah, that's fine. So let me go to Snaps Analytics. Because in US it will cost you more, right? So in India it's fine. I think it is around 5,000 or something like that. In US I think it is around 7,000 or 7.
$150. So it's
Yeah,
almost
okay, more high.
yeah.
So somewhere around
10.
yeah. Let's assume this. Oh, 10,000. Yeah, into 3 exams is like you can save 32,000 rupees, which is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a gift from Stan for Pongal.
Yeah, I guess for Stan.
Pongal.
Thank you, Stan.
Yeah, yeah.
The good thing is
Sure,
it's
no.
checking for email ID, so I should be also be good.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so here, see, you have two options now. Okay, with the Synapse Analytics, you have SQL pool as well as Apache. If you want to have Apache cluster, and if you have on-premises Apache, then this cluster will help you to migrate the data with seamlessly. But if you are using something like Oracle or on-premises SQL, then this SQL dedicated set of servers will help you to achieve things much better. Okay, so at the end, okay, so after doing all these things, again it will give you the same set of option. Let me create the SQL pool first. Okay, let me create Stan. You guys can go on mute. There is an echo. Okay, you can create. Muted him. Okay. Okay, so let this get created. Okay, and once this is done, you'll get all same options like what we got in Data Factory. Okay, this is something we have option to select how many servers we need, what kind of cluster we need, or what kind of analytics engine we need, whether we need a SQL engine or we need a Apache Spark engine. Apache Spark engine will be much costlier and it will work seamlessly if you have on-premises Apache Spark for analytics. Okay, so that gives you seamless migration experience. But if in case you have Oracle or MySQL or PostgreSQL or Microsoft SQL, then SQL pool will be much better. Yeah. So similarly, I think. So these things, as I said, created and deleted the same day. Otherwise, your free tier will expire in 2 days. Okay. So these are all high cost services. So every services like which we are discussing today, it has its own separate portal. Okay, which means these are all not natively from Microsoft. If you look at this one, the Azure Databricks, it has its origin from UC Berkeley tool. Okay, so that was something heavily used tool for data migration and data factories. Okay, so there used to be a tool called UZ Berkeley, and even they have taken some inputs from Apache Spark, and then they have formed this tool. Okay, so this one you get option to create notebooks and same thing. Okay, so you can create clusters, you can create workspace and those things. Okay, what I'll do is, okay, so let me show you an example. You can try it on your own for this lab, maybe Azure Databricks. Instead of I'm going to show you some samples. Similarly, you can try on your own. Okay, sample cluster creation, step by step, Microsoft. So maybe you can also play around following this, not this one. This one should be fine. I'm hearing that guys are also doing good. Okay, these guys like K21 Academy, this is also good, but again, they cost you more. That is the problem. They are a training academy, training center. Okay, so where is it? Data lake. Okay, let me try this one.
While you're looking at this, so when we are planning to start the AWS,
AWS February 2nd week or 3rd week maximum. Yeah.
okay.
So complete these exams first. Okay.
Yeah. By the time I think that should be good.
Yeah. At least A is at 104.
Yeah, that's what we are targeting 900 and 104, and then
Right.
with AWS
Yeah.
practitioner.
Correct. And the second level, and then you can go for architecture. Yeah, which is good. Yeah.
That's the target.
Yeah. So perfect. See, if you look at here, this use case, they are directly taking the raw data into Azure storage, which is Azure Data Lake storage. They create a storage account and enable Azure Data Lake, and then they are preparing and training the data using Azure Databricks. So it is not that it has to always come from Azure Data Factory. No, it is not the case. You can also get the raw data directly into storage account, and from there you can pass it on to Databricks, and you have some step-by-step options on how to play around this. Okay, if you look at here, right, it gives you a step-by-step instruction on how to create a cluster and how to copy contents. Okay, so it gives you step-by-step samples, and you can create a uh, cluster on your own. Okay, it takes a lot of time. Maybe you have to create the cluster first, and then you have to pass the data. Maybe like I'll give you this link. You try it on your own, or else I can show you later, like even if time permits on the next weekdays or weekend batch, you can get this one done. Okay, let me put it here. Maybe let's complete at least this one first, the Synapse Analytics. Okay, if you go to the workspace, so everything has its own portal. This one is show database. Okay, you want to play around this one first. Synapse Analytics. Okay, we should have the cluster here available now. Okay, if you go here, then you should get an option to do the workload management. Again, the same kind of activity whatever we were doing. So you should be able to open this in Data Studio or Visual Studio, and you should be able to do the data copying and those things. Okay, you can just launch the Synapse Studio. So you can see this is a separate portal again. So all these data management tool sets, it is from different product vendors and different tool sets where Microsoft have reused it, and then they have provided it in a customized way as a platform as a service. Okay, they have created a server on the backend, cluster on the backend, and they are providing you through some PaaS model services. So, and they have not directly completely integrated these things into their Azure portal. Okay, so these are all different portals now. Databricks is different portal, Data Factory is different portal, Azure Synapse Analytics is different portal. And once this loads, you get the same set of options, okay, like how we got in Azure Data Factory. Okay, let this get loaded, and then we'll kind of complete for the day. And how is Pongal celebration in US? Is it like you guys have some temples to go around nearby?
Not much, Stan.
Okay.
It's the same, like because due to COVID, the temples have been restricted.
Yeah,
But you
certain
do have
temples.
some temples, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
lot of temples.
Okay. Lot of
we have
temples, huh?
like almost like 6 temples in Detroit area, 6 to maybe more than that. In my area
Okay.
itself, we have 6 temples, and there are multiple areas in Detroit.
Okay. Okay. And you have different gods also to worship there, like
Yes, in
Yes.
Vinayagar
Detroit,
and
when I say
all
six
that.
temple, one is
Okay.
dedicated for Hanuman and
Okay.
Vishnu, like Shiva, like that. There are
Okay. Okay.
set of
Brahma.
different state also controls different temples.
Good. 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 Okay.
So they are giving appointment for temples too.
Oh, okay. Okay. You have to get online appointment and then you have to go. Okay. Good.
Yeah, in certain places, not at least in Detroit, in
Uh-huh.
certain places they are giving appointment based darshans.
Yeah. That's good. But I mean, you won't get the same level of feeling like when you go to Madurai and Kanjipuram. But yeah, so at least like you'll get some feeling like you went
Exactly.
to temple.
So we'll get
Yeah.
some inputs there, and the place will be calm and nice, so it will be
Yeah.
neatly maintained. But so
Okay.
due to the COVID is really bad in US, so
Mhm.
with the lot of spread, people are. In fact, our guys are not even moving outside. I mean, in the public areas.
Okay.
Only people over local here are they don't care about COVID. Our guys are so careful.
Okay. Okay.
Usually, Pongal time we will have cultural events, especially every
Exactly.
state will conduct cultural events.
Okay. Okay.
So that will be real fun.
There is a big
Okay.
Tamil Changam over here.
Okay. And how is the job market and I think like once we have some like the government shift, we might have more projects and more opportunities for Indian people, right?
I mean,
Obviously,
We
with
are
the
hoping for
visa
that. Yeah.
market is not as good as earlier. Maybe
Mhm.
since Trump has gone now, it might improve.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
otherwise, the job market for IT is good here.
Okay, good. Huh? Okay.
see, the only problem is once you are inside US, you can easy to survive. The only problem is the H1B, the sponsorship, and
Okay.
getting the stamping. That is the
Right.
critical stuff.
So I'm still in H1B, but the problem
Okay.
is within US we can survive. If I need to plan for a visit to India, I'm done.
Okay. Okay. So these things it takes its own time because there is a warm up time. There's a cooking time on the back end. It creates the cluster. It creates. See, if you look at here, even the data bricks, you have to first create the cluster, and then only you will be able to play around with the notebooks. First thing you have to go to create the cluster, and then you get a 14 days trial, which is good. Okay, so can just say stand cluster one. So this one you get the option to choose what kind of server Spark model you want, what is the version, and you also get auto scaling options also. Okay, so this one is single node is fine for me now. Okay, I don't want auto scaling and those things. You can choose what kind of CPU memory and those things you need for your data clustering. Okay, so you can create a cluster. So this one is more of a infra as a service, like where you get option to choose what kind of node you need, what version you need, how many cluster node you need, whether you need auto scaling. So those level of options you get. Even you get option to choose the backend querying language, whether you want Python or Scala or R or whatever. There is a tool called R. Okay, that is also a querying language. You can also choose that. So you get more options to play around with Databricks. So Databricks is heavy costly tool, but you get more control for the data engineer. Data engineer can choose their own version of querying language. They get more control on the data management. When it comes to data analytics, it is like one level lesser than Databricks, but you do get option to choose some versions. But Data Factory is a ready just directly log into the tool. You use data factory and then migrate them, copy them, convert them, transform them. At the end, the data engineer, they deal with ETL activities. So ETL is extract, transform, and load. They can do these things in any format. Okay, so ETL can be done with data factory, which is a kind of ready-made tool where you don't have to worry about clustering or which tool or which one they are using on the back end. but the data engineer work can be completed. The extract, transformation, and loading can be done. But if you need a specific version of SQL or Apache Spark or whatever it is, you can go for Azure Databricks or Synapse Analytics to start with. And if in case you need more processing power, you need cluster, you need more availability, and you need more control, you can go for Azure Databricks, which gives you option to create cluster. You can choose server resources, and you can select the platform also, what kind of platform you want to host the database, and what kind of querying language you need, and those things. You get more control here, but you have to pay more. Okay, so yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so it is creating the cluster. Sure, Dinesh. Yeah, we can talk anytime. Yeah. Okay, so he wants me to talk with this. Okay, once this is created, and you can go to the workspace, and you can start creating the workspace. Yeah. So this takes some time. Maybe how about this one? Still loading, huh? These things actually they generally need at least one day or at least like 6 hours of time for each tool, because a lot of options or a lot of sub options can be explored. But for now, yeah, for you guys, like to start with AZ 303, you don't need too much depth for now, at least to start with. It will take some time to load. Okay, it is loading, and I can choose the workspace, and now I can connect to it. And once it is connected, you will feel comfortable, like it will give you similar options like what we got in Azure Data Factory. Okay, you can see the same options like copy jobs, move jobs, connecting to some linked services, moving some data. See those same options, pipelines, monitor, and those things. Okay, so the only thing is you get more control on what tool sets, what kind of platform you are going to use for the same set of options. You also get some inbuilt visualization also, in addition to the pipelines. The same options which we found in Azure Data Factory is available. On top of that, you get visualization and more development activities can be done here. Okay, so that is the advantage of Synapse Analytics. You can play around same thing. You can go to go to home, and maybe you can create a new pipeline. Okay, so the same thing, same screen will come up. They are all closely relevant, but one tool will have more options, like this one will have visualization option plus development option in Synapse Analytics. Databricks will have even further more option. You can write your own querying language. You can use your own version of development tools. Okay, so a lot of additional options will be available. So data where factory might be useful for some data engineers where they are dealing with a small company, but for very larger organization, they might go for Databricks or data Synapse Analytics. But at the end, we are doing extraction, transformation, and loading, which is the primary data engineer role job. Okay, so with that, guys, I think I don't want to take more of your time. You can just play around with Databricks. You have step-by-step options where I just created the cluster. Once after creating the cluster, you can just play around with the same kind of extract, transformation activities. Okay, so this will take more time. Okay, so the cluster creation takes at least 15 minutes, and then once the cluster is created, you can create it has step-by-step instruction what has to be done. Okay, so you can play around this. You can create a notebook. You can copy paste these things and just try to do the same conversion. Okay, so any questions, guys? I know like this is like you have to just take it as a very high level view, but if you want in-depth data engineer certifications, let me know. I'm planning for a new batch in March mid. Okay, so where you can